And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with this week, the final week of the season, the final week of the year for GSRC as well, if I'm not mistaken. We'll be taking a bit of a longer break to get through Christmas and the new year before racing gets back on track. But welcome, folks, to this second night of broadcasting here in season 2025D's 10th and final week of the season here for the club. And welcome to the first half of a bit of island magic here tonight, as it's going to be all down under, all here on the southern part of the mainland of Australia. And welcome to Australia's home of at least two-wheeled Grand Prix action. And, well, certainly has in many a virtual time played host to four-wheeled racing, and in years past other premier four-wheeled racing as well in the real life. But tonight it's going to be an all-out home for some V8 muscle and brawl, and getting ready to kick off the first part of that here, of course, with the merch.GSRC.inc TransAm series. Thank you all for joining us, whether it's live or after the show on replay. My name is Eddie and back with you here once again for this final week. Big thanks, of course, to Zach Caban for filling in last week for my absence, which work be doing that to me, unfortunately. But we're back. Give Zach a night off this week, given that he's going to be back on tomorrow night for Thursday, and of course kick things off on Monday night with Adam Lavis. We're joined once again by Matt Schmicky on production, as we show you here 45-minute race for our TransAm cars as we head down towards turn number 1 very shortly here. It's a 15-car grid, it looks like, by the scale of things there. All DPR racing front row, Ryan Jones and Darren Lobb. Hen Funzo for ILEC row 2, Guy Leach, Richard Brookfield in row 3, Brett Barker, Dale Sharp row 4, Joe Baldwin, Adam Lavis, top 10 rounded out by Oz E-Racers. And then you've got in behind them Wayne Taylor, Craig Bond, John Baldwin, Dylan Walker and Brett Bradbury to wrap things up here tonight. 45-minute single race. We're looking at around maybe 28 laps tonight as we get ready for the green, and they're being held by Jones. They're being held by Jones. Oh no, Baldwin's off at the fence. They were checked up thinking he was going to go for it early, but he does not. And it puts a car off the road, and oh, John Baldwin looks a sorry sight there in the background on the left-hand side of the screen. But it will be Darren Lobb to swing around the outside of Ryan Jones into the opening corner here. There's a car off to the side of the track as well, meaning that they're going to be down the order there as we try and get this race underway. Gents, it's one of our longer races of the season, and we've had cars go off before the start-finish line through no fault of their own, and then a couple of drivers bowl it wide at turn number 1. Did I miss anything crazy in the water last week, Matt, whilst I was away? Or is this just a particular case of last week craziness as Jones is going to get into the back bumper of Darren Lobb, but no significant enough contact to turn him around. Puts him under a whole lot of pressure from Chris Hen and Adam Funzo, the two ILEC cars looking to race their way onto the podium here tonight.
The only thing I can think of with Dyson wrapping up the championship last week is the only thing on the table now is that number 1 on the podium, so maybe they're all just hungry for that tonight.
Yes, indeed, an unassailable championship margin. I don't know whether that means Andrew Dyson got the memo last week and decided, well, he will enjoy a bit of extra time away from the sim, or whether that's just happenstance that he's not here on track with us right now. But nevertheless, it means we've got ourselves Darren Lobb, Chris Hen, Dylan Walker, Adam Funzo. Those drivers all still could potentially have been scrapping over second place in standings tonight. That was the order they currently come into this race championship-wise. By the way, if you're talking about battle for the final spot on the podium, you can also chuck in Adam Lavis, Richard Brookfield and Angus Cook, but with no sign of Angus Cook, that will rule him out of contention pretty dang quick for that one there. And so there you go, already first lap ticked off the board, and we'll see how far we get into this, because of course with a slow first lap compared to what you normally see around this place, that might just potentially sort of threaten chopping a lap off the count, because going off the fact that we've got up to 28 laps, maybe even 27, we're going to have to see drivers make two pit stops. Not compulsory, that's technically not what it is, but then again, when your fuel tank's only good for about 11 laps here tonight in these TransAms, you're going to see these drivers have to come down the lane for quite a bit of fuel as a result. So watch out for that one here tonight. It should be fuel-only stops as well, given that tyres will add on a bunch of time in the pits, but conditions out there are not the coolest I've seen. So looking at 22 degrees Celsius air temperature, 35 Celsius track temp. They'll probably have to manage the car a little bit, especially through these longer corners like Lukey Heights. The leaders take us up and over the hill to come towards the end of this second racing lap. Jones trying to get back up to Darren Lobb here, but for now is going to have to sit in line and hope for a mistake from that Lego-adorned DPR car, because as we've seen all season long, it is not the slipstream that'll get you spots in these races, Matt. You're going to have to really do something a lot better than the driver in front of you to make something work.
Yep, you're certainly not going to get any benefit from the draft here, though. Phillip Island is one track that if you were, it would happen, but like you said, not a lot's going to happen, so you're going to have to try and make it up under brakes or force the guy in front to make a bit of an error somehow.
Sweeping back through turn number 1 here on the start of the third lap now as we tick out past 3.5 minutes, and it's Chris Henn with the fastest valid lap of the race, although Ryan Jones is technically slightly faster on that previous one. As it looks like Craig Bond's taking a bit of a dip off the road, and in fact backwards in the gravel on the exit of the Southern Loop is the 517 machine. In fact, he's already back to the pit lane with that one there. So it looks like, unfortunately, that'll be a pretty rapid goodbye. As we'll take a look at it here on a replay once again, with thanks to Destructive Labs, our season sponsor. Just actually overdrives the corner here, Matt, and keeps his foot buried in it far too long to be able to recover that one on corner exit.
Yep, well, Craig just a little bit too wide there and found the grass and gravel doesn't have as much grip as the tarmac now, does it?
Indeed, it's a little unforgiving in many a respect. Well, we'll see if he gets back out there, but actually, while I say that, and immediately I can see from my screen that he's chosen that will be the end of his night here in the TransAms. Whether that will be the end of his night in total, we'll have to see. And of course, given that there will be the Trophi.AI Supercars series races to come after this, and it's a super sprint round for them, so plenty of chances to go up and down and reverse yourself through the order, such is the nature of the beast for the TransAm field. So watch out for them in the next little bit. Later on, of course, we've got to get through this TransAm race first, as we're now 4 laps down and working our way towards lap number 5 in the next 90 or so seconds. Yeah, we're not too far off what a supercar can do, to the tune of around, oh, actually it's nearly 5 seconds, 6 seconds off the pace, as now fastest lap that counts goes to Darren Lobb at the front of the field at 36.932. You can see that they're 4 tenths apart, him and Ryan Jones, and you've got the Eyelet cars also about 4 tenths apart, as that was Guy Leach and Richard Brookfield getting a little bit elbows out together down into the Miller corner. The battle for 5th place in the race goes the way of Guy Leach for now, but it looked like that was a little bit of argy-bargy in the back of the shot. We might want to see if I can see that one again to confirm, which I will do exactly that here and now. In fact, actually, looking at it real quick for myself here, Leach had the position. Bad run through Southern Loop, was very wide. Brookfield, the tighter line through turn 2, enabled a better run. And then watch this here also through Stoner Corner, the left-hand sweeper. They go very wide, separate. Leach giving 6 miles of berth. Then he swung back across, and there was contact in the braking zone for the Miller corner hairpin. So Brookfield, a little bit of a lock-up and a run wide from him. Sees him have to stay back in line. And that was the total of the action for now, at least. To see if that perhaps restarts in a couple of laps when they get back together once again. Back of the pack, though, looks like that's Adam Lavis swinging out from behind Dylan Walker. Doesn't get there, though, by the time they get to turn 1. So back in line for the 23. Again, one of our drivers who could potentially pick up a P3 championship-wise with a good result tonight, and also does kind of require a bit of poor results from the other drivers who potentially be in Honest, he's just made a comment in the radio that was apparently side by side with Dylan Walker down towards turn 1, which apparently took the wheel out of his hand as Brookfield, a little touch to the rear of Guy Leach exiting the Miller corner. And he nearly got run over by Brett Barker in turn as well. So this pack of cars, 5th place on back, is bunching up to Lavis in 10th. And then you've got Dale Sharp just a little off the pack there in that Valvoline back car, which I think was the one we saw running off the road at turn 1 on lap number 1. And that would be about it there And unfortunately lost both John Baldwin and Craig Bond from this race afterwards. So let's have a look at this one here, actually. Go pick up the, so it was actually a pass. And looking for that one there. Okay, so yeah, wheels locked together on the run down the front stretch. That's not something either driver really did wrong there, Matt, but definitely a case of getting a little too close for comfort, according to the sim.
Yeah, just a little bit of a touch. It could have ended very poorly, but Adam more specifically has managed to catch the car after it had a bit of a snap after that contact, so well done to him.
Down into turn number 1, we go back live. Lap 6 underway here, folks. So we're just over, under, I should say, pardon me, a quarter of scheduled race distance, and indeed that lines up pretty neatly with the clock. We'll obviously have to get to just over 10 minutes in this one before we can start talking about where we are. But we're now also about halfway into this opening stint of fuel. The way things are looking, you're probably looking at needing to do about 5 or 6 laps on a tank of fuel somewhere in this race. It appears so far no one's looking to make that their first part of the race. As Baldwin and Walker side by side out of the hairpin, and there's Dylan looking to try and pick up some places after an uncharacteristically poor qualifying on the outside B area. He's left just enough bit of road. He'll end up using a bit more of it to boot, and they don't change places once again. So watch here for the 053 to have a crack here up to the Lukey Heights. Just the tight line work for him, and has a bit of more corner speed than Baldwin does, but down into MG, and the inside is well protected there by Baldwin in that number 9 and the Haviline backed colours. You come through these last couple of corners, we're going to see here it's not so much the draft. Car positioning, apex speed going to be so much more important. You see as you walk, I think they're a tiny lift of the throttle to guarantee a better run. Stays within track limits, and that tiny, there you go, tiny bit of momentum loss for Baldwin there on the final turn, dipping the right rear tyre in the dirt. Will allow Walker to pull up to the side of his car, but can't complete the pass. Going to drag around each other up to turn number 1. Baldwin leaves a bit of room, perhaps throwing it in as deep as he can to protect the position, and they don't clear, so Baldwin back up the inside. Bit of a panel rub there through the southern loop, and he'll hold on to the spot for now. Oh, contact exit the corner. Around goes Baldwin. Lavis gets into the front of him as well, and they're going to go around travesty there on the exit. Oh, big smash. Wayne Taylor's going to join the party as well. 3 cars involved in what was going to be at one point there a minor incident. Goodness me. Big whack there. Bradbury will get past them in that process. But that's going to put the chat amongst the pigeons, and now we'll see what that does, because there's a bit of a elaboration from Dylan over the in-game radio. The exit speed went to nowhere from his perspective of Baldwin, so maybe a replay might be in order when we can get it, and perhaps if we can find, okay, that was a lap before with his attempted pass. So the reason it happened was a bit of a lock-up from Baldwin through the Miller corner. That's what enabled the opportunity. We want to look for something on lap 7 if there's anything that's been picked up correctly for you to look through, if at all possible. And then preferably on board with Walker if we could, perhaps. Would give us sort of the best indication to sort of see if we can spot what Dylan's describing in session. So I have to watch for Baldwin here to come back up the inside, because the move wasn't quite done. So there we go. And then, oh yes, just that little bit of check up there, as you'd expect to probably be on the power. And I can see why that would be enough to tip a car around, because it makes enough of a momentum difference all of a sudden that with nowhere to go, the contact was likely, but also with the way contact seems to affect cars like on the surface in general too. That go around for Baldwin was seemingly pretty probable as well. And then unfortunately Lavis and Taylor caught up in the mess of it all. Well, back live here on lap number 8 for your race leaders, and it's now 2 tenths between Darren Lobb and Ryan Jones. Your pole sitter for tonight's race, just seemingly chipping away at whatever margin Lobb had. And now we're really talking the fine differences between how you preserve corner entry speed, apex speed, and then your exit speed, and just the driving line around here. Can you drive a shorter lap by getting the car a little tighter through the turns? And at the same time, can you run the car with less steering through the corners and allow the car to open up, which looks to be the case with Darren Lobb. On this occasion, gap starting to grow back out fractionally, mind you. We're talking mere hundredths here, down into turn 1. Start of lap number 9. What we estimate will be 20, I think actually probably fairly comfortable, so 27 laps when you factor in 2 stops required on fuel to even make it to the checkered flag in this race. And whilst this is officially the iRacing late model stock, it's fairly close enough to what I would consider a TransAm specification car, as Adam Lavis is going to hit the pit lane. But I think I just saw, yes, trouble for Lavis. He's unfortunately run in a bit deep and picked up a black flag for his troubles for speeding or an unsafe pit entry of some description. So that's going to see him, well, end up quite in the doldrums for this one. Actually, might get a chance to see it for ourselves. So, oh, yeah, okay. So the car is the damage from the incident there. And, oh, he's dropped off the road. And I'm going to suspect he didn't get it. That's an odd one there. That didn't look like he was going too fast at pit entry. Let me go back and have a look for myself. Since, of course, I do have the advantage of being able to have a little nitpick through some of the extra data. Let me, yeah. So pit speed limit here is 72. So it would appear purely running off the road like that was enough to trigger an unsafe pit entry violation, which is quite surprising, I'd say here. Yes, it's a limited pit lane road width, but I didn't realise running off like he did was enough to get yourself a black flag here from the iRacing service.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And also cruelly, apparently, it was a drive-through penalty, not a stop-and-hold penalty. So whilst he's taking a pit stop to fix his car up and take service, as you can see there on the timing tower, the black flag still remains for the number 23. So he's going to have to come back down the pits again at some point here shortly to try and fix things up. So there's the state of the race as well in the second column next to the intervals. You can see here positions exchanged off the start for Darren Lobb and Ryan Jones. Dylan Walker has made up 6 spots to get to P8 at this current point in time. 5 spots gained for Robbie Bradbury there in the number 65 as well. Unfortunately, for the rest of the field in the back half at least, we are talking quite a lot of movement backwards, unfortunately, due to incidents and the like in this one. Lavis going to hit the pit lane once again to try and clear out that penalty, as I was saying. And yeah, it really does look like it's going to be at the moment a 2-horse race between DPR drivers to take this final crown of the merch at GSRC.inc TransAm series here. And then we go into lap 10. Now, interestingly, I had it at 11 laps you could do on fuel. Are we now seeing perhaps that maybe that's even a little marginal? It's 10 laps to be sure, because it looks like nearly the majority of the field, I say, has dived in, but there are a few who are staying out at this point in time. So it's not all done just yet. As Jones is going to lead Darren Lobb away, a tighter pit stop time for the 0111. They restore their grid order. And this is going to be a little interesting here. Does that mean fuel was taken only for Jones? I think it was, whereas did Lobb take tyres here? Just checking real quick, folks, on my copy of the replay.
1.6 seconds difference in stop time, so it'll be interesting to see if that was just slowing the box or if he took tyres or what happened there.
And the answer was it was purely a longer stop for Darren Lobb. No sign of pit activity with tyres for the 899, and that makes you sort of wonder there how much Ryan Jones able to get up to the back of him and just roll around saving some fuel then. And if they're going to be exchanging their order for the start of the second stint, how much can Lobb return the favour here by getting the shorter stop as the car following for the next little while in this race. That, to me, sounds like what we probably need to have a look at as Chris Head, Adam Funzo, Brett Barker, Dylan Walker, your four drivers, sorry, to have not stopped in this race so far. Looks like they're all about to hit the lane as we speak, because here come the ILEC Motorsport duo, and yes, Barker and Walker will follow them in the background of shots. So end of lap 11, and everyone bar Brett Bradbury, has also taken a pit stop in this race. So we'll see the 65 presumably come around in due course. And see here, Chris Hen's pit stop time, about the same as Darren Lobb. So that actually gives you an indication of what full service is. Yeah, just over 11 seconds for fuel. So Ryan Jones, either a bit of cheeky fuel saving or an intentionally slight short fill, knowing that it doesn't really matter if it ends up being about the same amount of time in the box at this final stop of the race. You have to keep an eye on that as best we can over the course of this next stint, I think. But also note there you got Guy Leach, who's within a second of Funslow, give or take. Barker and Brookfield swapping spots, possibly on pit exit, are they? Heading down now towards turn number 3. Here they are, into the Stoner corner. Maybe Brett Barker ahead as they settle back in to begin this second stint of racing. There's all contact in the Miller corner there from Brookfield. He backs it up. Oh, he spun Barker. So he comes to a stop to try and redress the spot. Dylan Walker will slip on by to P6 in the process. The redress there complete from Brookfield is good to see. In saying all that, but we just missed that one there with the camera shot into the Miller corner. But well, we saw how close and how slow Brookfield was going. It would appear that was just a little too fast and a little too locked up after he stopped into the hairpin here. We'll catch this one a slightly different angle if we can. Yeah, on board. Brook was, yeah, just going in a little too hot there, Matt. Missing the apex was the trajectory he was on, and unfortunately for Brett Barker, that's exactly where he was. So back live here on lap 13 of this race. Coming up towards the halfway mark on the clock. You should see it probably around the mid-start of the next lap, the 14th of this race, which actually would still suggest we might still be on for 28 laps because it is short pit stops here tonight. So maybes. And interesting, Brett Bradbury there. Not supposed to drive. Ah, okay. Surgery of some description for Brett, or otherwise just procedure requiring anaesthetic. And I'm not going to ask Brett how that necessarily went for you then in that case. I'm just trying to sort of think that one through as to how that played out then. Was that a case of reactions felt slow, or possibly feeling a little sleepy out there? I'll leave it as a open question that you don't have to answer. How about that? Well, back with our close battle of the race. Here's one of two at this stage. We'll catch up with Brett Barker and Brookfield, I think, in a little bit, Matt. But for now, let's just watch to see, is there any movement between these two DPR racing drivers? Again, I suspect probably not, because they're quite content to ride here at the front of the field. You can see lapping about a second faster than Chris Hen in third place. Adam Funzo's a little closer to the pace metrics that they need to be punching out. But even then, Kim, Guy Leach are a couple of tenths off.
We can actually have a look
Brett
here.
Barker
It doesn't have a beacon.
had a moment of some kind.
Oh, Wayne Taylor is a bit quicker because he pitted a few laps earlier. Yes, but you can see relative to everyone else if you ignore Wayne here.
Yeah, let's go by the numbers, not by the coloured bar charts behind their names. That threw me for a second there. But yeah, so Ryan Jones, Darren Lobb, some solidly got the fastest pace on average. A little bit better than Chris Henderson and Funslow. Guy Leach is slightly better than both of the ILET cars, so that could become a developing battle. And indeed, P3, 4, 5, now covered by about 2 seconds, not even. As, oh, goodness me, there you go. Nice shot there through MG corner as Lob is right glued to the bumper of Ryan Jones, but he doesn't find a way through just yet. Dylan Walker's apparently kind of off the pace. That may also be a part of being in some lonely bit of racetrack for now, pulling away from Brookfield, but 6 seconds behind Leach. Getting a sort of a sticky spot on the road.
Yeah, we might check back in with that later once the pit stop times have cleared, and then we'll get a better picture of exactly how everyone's going along.
So how many laps does that take as an average?
That's 5-lap average.
All right, so yeah, if we check in on probably lap 17 or 18, then that's probably a fair shout then. That should get us some unaffected average times. Top two swing through Stoner corner. Half a look there under brakes into the Miller corner map, but once again, Darren Lobb is happy to ride shotgun in this middle stint, it seems, of the race. And we may need to tune in to the battle for now, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Particularly, Funslow's got Guy Leach a fraction closer to him than he is to Chris Henn. I say that, the gap blows, doesn't blow out, it's just increased slightly back up to 0.6 of a second. And then it's going to threaten to go down towards half a second as they build speed through the hay shed. But on this occasion, it's going to stay in the yellow and not shift just yet to the orange. So Sharp also takes up the mantle, challenge Richard Brookfield, it seems, rather than Brett Barker in this middle phase of the race too. So it's another one to keep an eye out for when it comes to on-track action for 7th place on the road here tonight. As these two swoop down through MG corner and try and build the pace back out. Gap of around 11 hundredths of a second there into turn number 1 as Jones finds the apex curb as well. Lob a better run through the turn, but backs off slightly for the southern loop to try and get a slightly better exit. He will tighten up the corner with a late apex, as it were, as they then fire off down towards Stoner and Miller corners here at Phillip Island. Let's get the 16th lap underway. And Jones lock up and he's wide. Opens the door voluntarily. Darren Lobb says, I'll take that, thank you very much. Needs no further invitation than the unforced error to go back to the race lead after controlling the opening stint of this race. Well, that's a little bit of a blunder that we haven't really seen tonight from either of these two drivers, and it seems to have been done all by himself. So, a bit of a whoops there for Mr. Jones, but he'll soldier on, I'm sure. Indeed, fires it back in over the top of Lukey Heights, trying to get to the bumper of Lobb, but by the time they get to MG, it's going to mean he's a little out of position and won't be able to maintain corner speed through that slow corner. Although in this car, I actually don't know, would it be the slowest corner on the circuit, or are we going to need to go up to the Miller corner hairpin? Surely Miller would be pretty close, but 65 km/h for Dylan Walker as an example speed through MG. I have to get tabs on someone going through Miller in the next little bit to sort of understand where it's all at. And as we see here, actually, we're going to get the speedo up for that little thought that I was having. So we're right on here with the man in P2, as Ryan Jones got for Darren Lobb's swing through Southern Loop here. We just saw top speed of just shy of 240 km/h. I am wondering, though, that was apparently indicating they were pretty close to being on the rev limiter, I think. Yeah, so it might be a case of not actually having that ton of extra speed that they can tap into here. So 220 kph on the approach for Jones. 75 km/h, so that's a little quicker through the Miller corner than it will be down at MG by about 5 odd or so. So right up here through Serbia, watch the speed, and again 4-speed gearbox, so you don't really have a lot of engine braking to work with either, because you've got to let these cars rev their way up before you can then start sort of shifting them back down. I mean, you can also attack the gearbox pretty aggressively if you wanted to really try and thrash the engine with some engine braking. As you see here from Jones, he's letting that engine roll off on his braking and lifting before he gets the car in gear there. Nice big roll. And actually gets 70 k's an hour. It's pretty close for Jones between his MG and Miller corner speeds, but that would indeed be the slower corner there at turn number 10, if by only about 5 kph. You see here, grabs top gear just before the final corner, and now we're going to watch for this car to rev itself out, I believe, before we get down to turn number 1 here. Watch for that dial as it climbs, and it's actually just going to redline about now. There you go, redlining about now, 237, the absolute top speed for Ryan Jones. So gear ratio may be ever so slightly off, Matt, to sort of see some potential runs into turn 1 by that suggestion, but it also means you'd be trading off a little bit of acceleration out of the turns for that longer drive, since it's all you can adjust with the gearbox on these cars.
Yeah, it's just a trade-off of whether you want that little bit extra punch out the corner or a little bit more top speed. A little bit more top speed might have been handy around here, because they seem to get right on the rev limit a bit too early up into turn 1 there, and it might have promoted a little bit more passing. Not that people would be able to get that big a run, but it might have helped a little bit.
I guess it's kind of that little game of you gain some, you lose some. The exchange of racing and all that with these cars. There's a down into MG once again for our top 2. It's also closed up for the battle for 3rd. We'll need to jump to that at some point when we can. And in fact, it's almost a very timely opportunity there, as Leach swung the car out over Lukey Heights, but no crack in the armour of Adam Funzlo just yet, as he continues to try and hang on to that 4th place on the road, as we swing down into the last 2 turns here to finish lap number 18 for these drivers and join the leaders on their 19th lap of the circuit, coming up to just 15 minutes remaining. The 2/3 marker is just about here, folks, in this final race of the season. A reminder, if you missed it there as part of the discussions pre-race, Andrew Dyson has wrapped up the championship. He can't lose it even by being not in attendance for tonight. Back to the race lead if we can, please, because there's been a tiny bit of contact on the exit of the Southern Loop, and Ryan Jones has been able to push open that door as a result, but he's going to be on the outside for the hairpin here at the Miller corner. He brakes early, rolls it in. Lob does not take the bait and miss his braking marker, so he will hold the apex and drive the car out, still in front of his teammate here on this 19th lap. And critically, that'll just slow them up fractionally, you would have thought, but then you look at the timing town, it says that they're still gaining on Chris Henn, who's now got both Funzlo and Guy Leach to worry about for that final podium place in the race. And also, would probably also be the decision of whether it'll be P3 for Chris Henn, which is the probable case, given that Lob sits at the top end of this pecking order right now. And only Ryan Jones appears to be someone who can take that away from him by the end of this race. They're on their 7th lap of a stint, and Jones, there we go. Okay, that was a short stop to try and get track position and an undercut. And for Ryan Jones, he has to peel into the pit lane to fill up early as a result. So the split stratagem from the DPR cars, and he's not the only one. Guy Leach is on his way into the pit lane too. So he will separate away from the ILEC Motorsport entries. You can see there in the background right of shot as we look up the start-finish stretch from turn number 1. So the games are afoot. Drivers with short second stints, opening stops to try and get themselves something, now have to pay the bill at the final stop of the race. 9 seconds again for Ryan Jones in that stop. So does that mean a 7-second stop is coming for Darren Lobb with a full tank of fuel to kick things off here tonight? We await and see if that is indeed the case. It's down into the Miller corner for our ILEC cars. Once again here, they now run 2nd and 3rd in this race. It is temporary, of course, mind you. Where is Ryan Jones? P6, from behind Dale Sharp. That's where he's rejoined this race. We'll look to see if that makes a dint on his race in this one by being behind cars. He hasn't raced tonight so far. I suspect probably not, but It's a matter of how long will it take him to catch. Might be an interesting question here indeed. So these drivers here, they're on their 7th, 8th lap of a stint. Darren Lobb, after just 9 laps, is going to hit the pit lane. So again, looking to sort of even up the race, it seems, and it's going to be a split strategy from the ILET cars. Adam Funslow heading to the pit lane as well. He brings the 329 machine down and away as Richard Brookfield, currently on his own. I think he was on his own prior to this moment here in the corner. Has indeed come unstuck.
Yep, just locked the right front up and went very, very deep.
Bit of an oopsie-daisy there, indeed, from Richard Brookfield. So we'll lose the time on the road and have to try and sort that out. So, Chris Henn going long. Dylan Walker going long. Everyone else has come to the pits. Darren Lobb has taken more fuel than Ryan Jones again. Did I miss something there?
He was in the box for about 1.6 less than Walker this time, which is about the same that he was slower last time, but overall I think Darren's pit stop times have been longer.
That's exactly my point. Is Brookfield's actually had an issue and has got himself a mechanical black flag. And he's driven the car back to the pit lane, sorry. Richard Brookfield, what have you done? Have you blown the motor? Possibly? Yeah, so the main thing here is Ryan Jones, who's got less fuel on board, I think, is... we're going to go to a replay here momentarily. It's side by side for the race lead. Jones has tried for the pass on Lobb, but Lobb stands firm and says, I will not be overtaken here through MG on this 21st lap of the race. He will continue on as the effective racer. I should also say apologies to Chris Henn and Dylan Walker, who are still going up front. But the drag race for P1, once it all settles down, hits the top speed once again into the opening corner, and Lobb prevails for now. I'm just really curious about this because that's, again, first stop, there was a 2-second difference in fuel, which favoured Darren Lobb. Second stop, about half a second, 7/10, also favouring Lobb. It suggests he's got more fuel on board. Unless there's something there just with more aggressive refuel margins, or just somehow a slightly better stop for Ryan Jones, because they should have come out, I would have thought, more apart than they did. But alas, they are stuck together as teammates on the track. And I get the feeling they'll be looking to put on a show to the end of this race. And that will be one to watch for here in the closing couple of laps. Now, unfortunately, I think we missed our chance to get the average lap time graph rolled out.
We've got pit stop times conflicting now, unfortunately.
Yeah. In my defence, these guys also going a little shorter than my numbers suggested they probably could have. And I'd like to say that threw me for a loop. But Dylan Walker, after 10 laps, actually, pardon me, 11 laps in his car, will head to the pit lane as Jones overdrives the last corner and runs himself out into the weeds fractionally. And look at that there, dropping away from Lobb as a result of that speed bleed and that extra track width and, well, not track taken as a result. This is the 36.9 for Lobb at the same time to set his new personal best of the race. It puts that particular lap around 0.4 faster than what Jones could muster in the same moment. They also quite comfortably, pardon me, ahead of Funslow on pace. Guy Leach is quicker than Funslow though, so a battle for third we expect to brew once more.
It seems like going that extra lap for Han has cost him. I'm looking at times and he doesn't seem to have been that slow anyway, although Funslow's in lap was a 2:09, and Hans was a 2:02.6, so I guess that's where he's lost that bit of time.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. 1.7 seconds just down the drain, for reasons we don't know. Yeah, that'll be enough to flip the script, even with a shorter pit stop and faster time through the pit lane. Actually, part of that is also apparently nearly a second slower from cone to cone in the pits. For Chris Henn versus Adam Funslow, to put it in perspective. So that seems to be where part of the story lies. There's also time lost in pit lane 2. All right, lap 24 underway. And it's a 36.8 from Darren Lobb, which puts him 4/10 clear of Ryan Jones. Is this the Hail Mary, the break that he's looking to put on? Is it also a case of Ryan Jones is now on the margins of fuel? Has he possibly fueled for a 27-lap race, and the pace and the pit stops are enough to still trigger a 28th lap in this one tonight? Despite the mechanical black flag and the extra pit stop for Richard Brookfield, he has taken the fastest lap of the race down there in the number 2:49, a 10th faster than what Darren Lobb has achieved on that previous lap as the 8:99's personal best of this race session. And it's the only car showing a negative delta for Darren Lobb when it comes to lap time. So not too much threat, it seems, from anyone behind, even his own teammate. Well, the gap still sets at 7/10, nearly 8/10 of a second as they sweep through MG for what could be the 4th last time in this race. Let's check in with Wayne Taylor and Adam Lavis if we can, please, actually, because they're neck and neck at this stage of this one. They are a little down in the dumps, being in P9 and P10, partly due to some issues earlier on that they were privy to after Joe Baldwin and Dylan Walker got together, as there was a half look from Lavis into the Miller corner. Coming just yet. And Taylor is still going to work his way into that holding P9 position down for now as they head on up through Siberia, past the hay shed, stick the throttle all the way to the firewall through that right-hand sweeper, and then get on the power in a clean and smooth motion as you come up over the hill of Lukey Heights and prepare for the descent into MG. The drivers will do so very nicely there on this occasion as standard. As Leach runs it off the road. Miller corner will claim another victim. And this time it's the Injectors Online Racing number 460. And look at this one here on the Destructive Labs replay, right up underneath Funslow as he was racing earlier on in this stint. And goes for the move, Matt, and just bowls it wide into the grass.
Yeah, I was watching the Deltas and they were close and close, and all of a sudden I saw Leach's go flying and he go past him. Like, oh, something's happened here.
Yep. The lock-up claims another victim here tonight in the Trans Am cars as we get ready to start lap 26, and it's 36.6s now from Darren Lobb. The man is going to reset the fastest lap benchmark just now, and also really try and turn the screws on the drivers around him. I mean, it was barely anything between him and Ryan Jones. 0.05 of a second, my numbers read here on that last lap. So despite the fact that the speed is there, it's only in small doses, comparatively speaking. And it means that, as you can see on the tower, they're still within 0.8 of a second of each other as they continue this 26th lap, which, looking at the clock, will not be the penultimate lap. We will get to 28 here, folks. The clock will indeed go with that one there. 2. Up and over the hill they will come once again. Just also looking around to see where's the racing action in this one today. Thinking it also Dylan Walker, if he can catch Chris Henn, that could be a little something there. For position number 5 now in this race, in the closing 2 laps. And of course this battle for position number 9 in the standings of the series here. Wayne Taylor trying to fend off Adam Lavis, but Lavis to the outside of the Miller corner here, side by side though. By the time we get to the apex, should favour Taylor with the shorter line, but does the side by side continue up to Siberia? The door's open, it's respected, it's given, going around the corner, going, and I'd say sold to Adam Lavis, but there we go. We get to the hay shed, and Wayne Taylor will lose the overlap there as we sweep up the hill, and he almost goes for a little lunge of a sort through Lukey Heights, and actually in the process nearly chops the rear of the Aussie racers number 23, but that won't happen on this occasion. Has Chris Henn's blown the engine?
Yes, that's
in
what
the
I was
361, has he?
just about to bring up. I'm guessing that's what's happened. Let's have a look here.
Mechanical black flag for him. Sees him relinquish P6.
This might be
Dylan
the
Walker.
previous lap. Let's see. Yes, that was the previous lap.
Ah, but a bit of a copy of Richard Brookfield. Actually, perhaps more like Guy Leach with the magnitude of the runoff. But on lap 26 for him, maybe 27.
So this is where Dylan gets past.
All right, let's watch for Henn then, perhaps, because that could be telling that maybe some mistake here during the passing action. Does the motor in? Not through the southern loop. And an update, your race leader has taken the final lap of the race. So we will get back to that as soon as we can. Oh, I think it's happened just there. No smoke to show it, but that looked like a bit of a clunky downshift and process there. And I think that might just be our problem. Well, back live. Guy Leach now one final assault on the rear bumper of Adam Funslow if he can. And he's only got probably 2 simpler spots to do it at now. Miller, Siberia, and pardon me, MG makes 3. But into this first of those opportunities, it will be no dice for Guy Leach as Funslow holds the spot down and works his way into the corner. Neat, tidy, protecting the spot as Leach throws it over the road and off the road in a fit of aggression. But it looks like that will not be the case. Meanwhile, through the final turn comes Darren Lobb. Ryan Jones is reattached to his gearbox. In fact, there we go. Average pace, that looks pretty accurate to me as well.
Yeah, or 100th difference across the last 5 laps.
Daylight between them and the rest of the field, just like it is on track. And with 28 laps complete and on the board, Darren Lobb will be the final driver to win here in the GSRC.com TransAm series. Now comes the waiting game, as we don't actually have anyone on track apparently in a battle for position. Adam Funslow sees off the challenge of Guy Leach and secure a podium. Minor points places. The 5th in the hands of Dylan Walker there, along with Dale Sharp in about now. Then another 4 seconds back to Joe Baldwin. Adam Lavis a long way behind, along with the last car there. Wayne Taylor, along with the Eilert cars that were in Trouble Town of Chris Henn and Richard Brookfield. You can see here no re-challenge possible from Wayne Taylor, so the spot is Lavis's as we come to the line. Now await our last drivers in the form of Brookfield, who apparently is hit the pit lane. No, he hasn't hit the pit lane. He's just a little bit further behind. And he'll cross the line, and there we are, folks. The results are now official from iRacing. We can bring them up on your screen here to go through how everyone has finished up here tonight for the final race of the season in the Motorsport TransAm series. Half a second, the official margin between Darren Lobb and Ryan Jones. They reverse the qualifying order to give Lobb the final race win and therefore the final round win of the season too, which will also see him secure second place comfortably in this season's championship as well. Adam Funslow rounds out the podium there in third place, and yet you know he might be half a chance for take P3 in the standings with that one there. Should we try and do a bit of quick math as we see Guy Leach behind him in fourth, having unfortunately slipped after trying to apply the pressure late on in that race. Dylan Walker, P5, a bit of a lonely one after the incident with Joe Baldwin for him. Then you go back to Dale Sharp in P6, Joe Baldwin trying to recover there. We'll have to settle for P7. Ends up being, again, a quiet finish for him. Then Adam Lavis catching up to clearing Wayne Taylor late on in the piece for 8th and 9th, respectively. Chris Henn and Richard Brookfield, your final two drivers to even finish the race in 11th and 10th and 11th, sorry, with your drivers starting the race but not finishing, being Brett Barker, Brett Bradbury, Craig Bond, and John Baldwin. In fact, actually kind of cruelly for John, it's hard to really say he started the race tonight. With that incident off the rolling start formation, kind of doing him in there a little dirty. But it looks like we've got one driver with us to have a chat to tonight, and it will be our race winner, Darren Lobb. So we'll bring the man in here and see what he has to say about tonight's race. And Darren, congratulations on the win tonight. You've been able to break Andrew Dyson's streak, although perhaps a little ably assisted by Andrew's non-attendance tonight. But you've been there for pretty much all season long as well. How did you enjoy the island in these cars? And you will need push to talk enabled in Discord. Right, so Darren's unmuted. Do we have Darren here with us in a moment?
Let's try that, boys. I had to quickly set up a push to talk button. How was everyone?
Excellent. There we are. Good to hear from you.
The only way I could kill off Darso tonight was offering to pay his bar tab while he went out with his mates and missed the race. But I'll take a W. There's no remarks column on that one.
Excellent work. Yes, no, always a good way to influence the race outcome by offering up something else that is of equal or greater interest, perhaps, one might say. But look, it was a good race between you and Ryan tonight out there, 100%. And at the end of the day, you guys were the front, the class of the field. Also, interesting, a bit of different pit strategy out there tonight. Was that Ryan trying something to try and undercut you there at both stops? Because you went long on the stops, but we also were expecting perhaps that would pay you back in the second stop. Was that just a case of you burned a bit more fuel tonight, so you needed the extra fuel in the car to make sure you were home, or was that Ryan trying to be a little sneaky, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't know. We were actually in Discord together, so we were chatting the whole way through it. And kind of midway through the race, we were trying to work out how much fuel we needed, and then with stuff it, let's just split it. And clearly my split it strat gave me one click more fuel than what he did. So I think I ended up at 26 point something in the first stint, and he ended up at 22, and then we kind of reversed that in the last stint. It didn't make much of a difference, to be honest. It kept it nice and close, and you know, I was hoping we were going to have a good race towards the end, but I think he fell asleep for a lap or two and then slowly clawed the gap back, and there was no ways I was going to wait up for him and give away a W at the end of the season.
Yes, it was one of those ones there where it was a case of, yeah, just trying to watch it sort of maybe grow a fraction, then shrink a fraction, and back and forth, and then really having to make a bit of a opportunistic, aggressive, assertive moves however you want to describe it, I guess. But at the end of the day, it didn't trip you guys up, so that was good to watch there. And yes, you can now claim a race win and a round win for yourself on the season as a result, and you have to leave Ryan winless this season. Perhaps we can consider that one as a bonus to be able to say you can go one up on him for the season results.
It's always nice to put one over him and leave him without a win for the season. Just remind him his place in the team, slowly down the pecking order, not at the top of the pecking. Nah, it's been a fun season to race in these cars. I'd never driven them before, and I gotta be honest, they're good fun to race. It's really a pity that the attendance in the series kind of died out, because 40 of these cars racing together for the whole season would have been heaps of fun. You know, I do a fair amount of supercar driving, and dare I say, these with a few more horsepower would be bloody good fun. So yeah, hopefully we run them again next season. Hopefully there's better turnout throughout the season, and I look forward to coming back.
Well, it's good to hear. There is always the super late model, which in theory would have similar bones, but more power is definitely on tap with the SLM versus these late model stocks. I guess you could almost call it a TA1 stand-in, perhaps. I don't know if that's something the committee want to go for, but there you go. Darren said his piece. I'll add in my little 2 cents on that one there, but it sounds like there's one driver who's committed to coming back on a Wednesday should this slot resume. And I think, yeah, sure, the numbers dropped off tonight to just 15 drivers, but yeah, we've seen some pretty good numbers over the course of the season, generally speaking. So fingers crossed indeed to see what comes next season. Matt, any comments from you tonight for Darren before we let him go here?
No, really, just well done. A good season all around. You did very well in pretty much every race there was. That one, was it last week you didn't qualify quite as well, but other than that, I think you did pretty well all season long.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I've enjoyed it. It's kind of been one of those cars that you could also just kind of arrive and follow people around in the race, and you know, that's kind of real life with the Better Me last week. And I jumped into the car for the first time in qualifying, and kind of didn't even know which way I was really going, but you follow cars around for the first 3 or 4 laps, and it actually just gets heaps and heaps of fun. The tyres hold on long enough, the balance doesn't change too much as the fuel runs out. They're good cars. It's your right foot that kind of, you know, lifting off the throttle to shift in that gets a little bit tricky. I think it's the hardest thing to get used to in these is, you know, not missing those upshifts. So they're good fun. Thank you guys for sitting and commentating through our races all season long. I hope you have a good Christmas break, and look forward to catching up next season.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Darren. Any final people or shouts you want to give on your side of the camp as well here for tonight?
Just big thanks to the DPR guys. Thanks to Dyson for missing tonight so I could get a W, and thanks to Ryan for falling asleep so I could get the W. No, I'm kidding. Just, yeah, you guys for, you know, kind of sitting in week out and commentating while we get to have all the fun and race. Appreciate all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes.
Thank you very much there. Darren Lobb, your race winner for tonight. And whilst it breaks Andrew Dyson's 6-round streak, it keeps DPR's streak going to 7 rounds in a row to conclude the season here in our TransAm series. And thank you very much to Darren there for that one. But looking at it all at the end of the day, Matt, that might just be it for interviews here, as it appears no one else is going to join us. And fair enough, I guess. It was one of those races there where we had a couple of flashes of moments there. A little bit of drama there, which you actually replayed all the way back to with John Baldwin there right off that race start, which, yeah, particularly rough for him. But at the end of the day, yeah, pretty good racing. Just it broke down into some more bite-sized chunks, as it were.
Yep, just more battle here, battle there, where it's just everyone going at it in one big pack, which would have been good to watch, but this was also good to watch. There was some good battling here and there. And
on that note, I think we might just have to say goodbye to the TransAm Series for season 2025D. Of course, Andrew Dyson will walk away season champion with that result there, well, with the results leading up to tonight. Again, of course, not in attendance this week, meaning that he didn't even need to to secure that championship. But Darren Lobb will most comfortably settle into a P2 finish. Looking here, Chris Hen, Dylan Walker, P5 versus P10. It's only worth about 10 points. Yeah, so Chris Hen will still hang on to P3 in the championship as well. So as they came in, they will head back out. Funslow, yeah, no, Dylan Walker P5 will also still hang on to that versus Funslow's P3 finish tonight. So in fact, top 5 as they came in, looks like they're going to come back out exactly the same way here in the TGSRC.com TransAm Championship for the drivers here this season. And before we sign off the cars and take a short break here, of course, I think it's best to pay attention and thanks to the rest of the club sponsors and shout them all out here with Disruptive Labs, of course, being our season sponsor here in season 2025D. Waste Options, your Monday night sponsor of Toyota GR86 and GT3 racing. Trophi.AI, our title sponsor here on a Wednesday of the Supercar Series. Coming up next, Pantech Industries supporting the Porsche Cup on Thursday nights. And pardon me if Disruptive Labs continue to support Thursday night GT4 racing and Indy Next Level on Fridays. Sprayton non-alcoholic cider from Tasmania, continuing to support the club, if not as a title sponsor this season. Of course, the club itself, get yourself some merch from the merch store. Should you wish for a little physical token of your appreciation. And to John Simpson at Flash Graphics, if you're looking to get yourself a bit of a racing skin to kit yourself out on the virtual track. But that's going to do it here for these American brawlers as they've come and gone these past 10 weeks. Matt, it's time for a bit of homegrown power to wrap up the Wednesday night racing action. Stay here at the island and we'll be back for the final 3 races of the season for the Trophi.AI Supercar Series here from the GSRC. Stay with us after this short break. Well, folks, if you've stayed with us during the break, thank you very much and a warm welcome back. And if you're joining us here for the main event, a very warm welcome to you too. And apologies to those who indeed have been with us since the start of the show with the merch of GSRC.in TransAm series coverage, because we are staying down island side. Welcome back, or welcome to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit here in the south of Australia, just a tad just off the main part, of course, of the state of Victoria, and in fact, quite literally on just about one of the southernmost points of the mainland of the island. The Southern Ocean is and the Bass Strait are right there, off of turns 1 and 2 to the bottom of shot. In fact, that one there also out to Siberia gives a good shot there. That is just the ocean out there, all by its lonesome. So you can always keep that one in mind. But a fantastic circuit. I've seen plenty of racing over the years, of course. Perhaps, well, best known for being the home of the Australian MotoGP and other two-wheeled forms of racing, but four wheels goes pretty well around here as well. As qualifying is coming to a close here this evening, get ready to bring 3 races of action here for the Trophi.AI Supercar Series to wrap up its 10th and final round of the season. My name is Daniel Gaiman, joining you once again to wrap things up here tonight with Matt Schmicky back on production for this one this week. So hope you're looking forward to this one, folks. After the longer racing of the TransAm cars, it is fast and furious for these 3 races here tonight. And with that said and done, let's go through the grid here for our opening race. And it's going to be Will Buchanan on pole here tonight for race number 1. And he had himself a 10th advantage over Blake Fitz there in 2nd place. Ryan Jones going to make it the first driver to do the double here tonight, with Robbie Bradbury alongside him there on the 2nd row. Jake Slade and Sam Cullen going to be the next of our AOTT Revolution e-racing machines on row number 3. Dylan Walker going to also do the double there out of P7 with Josh Fitt to his outside on row 4. And then our first of our dev split drivers going to take on row 5, Johnny Bannack and Andy Barber, to round out the top 10 here tonight. P11 going to go to Oscar Haynes, with Jace Douglas sharing that 6th row with him there. Dane Snadden and Trent Allen on row 7, with more elite drivers as a buffer. Back to Nathan Michael, Travis Atherparty, 3rd and 4th of our dev split drivers, Whichwood, Terry Marsh, Adam Lavis and Wade Sheedy, making it 6 devs in a row there to round out. And actually keep on going with Dale Sharp in 21st, Greg Heaney, series organizer there in 22nd, Tristan Koch and Aaron Bryan for 23rd, 24th, Edward Rollo, Martin Lipsky on 26th place, before we get a couple of the drivers here with no qualifying times. James Scott making a bit of a rogue fly-in appearance in the P27, who is sharing the 14th-year-old Brad Ratsu. Daniel Cheney in 29th place as Craig Bond, sharing row 15. And then it looks like we're going to have Tom Donahue potentially alongside, if also there, James Hardy. 32 drivers, if they all take to the grid, getting ready to rev these motors out. 15 minutes on the board for the opening race. It should be about 10 laps. Let's go racing from the island for the first of 3 times here with the Trophi.AI Supercar Series as we're underway on the run to turn number 1. And it's a little bit busy in the mid-pack here. 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide as they fan out looking for a bit of room here. But at the front of the field, it's going to be Buchanan who leads them away down into this first corner. He holds the pole as they work their way into the opening couple of corners. Plenty of 2 wide mid-pack I'm seeing here. Single file for our leaders in the meantime as they work their way around the southern loop for the first time at racing speeds, having obviously dialed themselves in with qualifying. As you can see there on the timing tower, Josh Fitt currently sits with a black flag to his name in the number 159 machine. I would presume, therefore, a jump start for the second of our DPR racing drivers in this field tonight, as someone getting squirrely in the mid-pack is going to be Oscar Haynes. He'll lose out to a couple of cars as they come around Siberia in the process here. As there's been contact further on back in the field for Brad Rattu, he's going to slip out sideways through Siberia as he tries to regather his momentum, but he's still pointing the right direction. There we go, Haynes and Barber side by side through the hay shed. Look at them, 2 wide, nearly 3 deep as we try and sort this one out on the opening lap of what should be 10 up into Lukey Heights. We will go, and Haynes tries to hold the outside, but Barber there has enough of a cover to take that spot back as they then lunge for position, ducking, diving, dipping and weaving here to try and sort themselves out as they come over the hill and get some pace on the borders. They'll then round the last couple of turns here at Phillip Island and get themselves down the stretch here to complete lap number 1. As we see there, Johnny Bannock and Alan Moffat inspired tribute, while still retaining, of course, AITT colours here tonight. It's a very tasteful touch indeed. He will succeed, will concede 7th place to Dylan Walker there on the run to turn number 1 on this occasion. But yeah, there'll be a little bit of this to obviously go around here tonight. Although actually, pardon me, I believe actually Johnny might be one of the few drivers who explicitly called this one out pre-race for us to sort of be aware and on the lookout for. With, of course, the sad passing in the news that we had lost a great legend of Australian motorsport, even though he was born in Canada. But yes, rest in peace to Alan Moffat, and condolences to all of his family and close friends who have paying their tributes and having to say farewell to someone who was very important in their lives as much as he was important in the motorsport world to many of us, even if it was a little bit before my time, personally speaking. But good to see the racing has settled in here. The field, pretty much an unbroken string from now MG all the way down back to the Hayshed, with a couple of exceptions there in that pack. And see here Blake Fitz, 3rd place currently. He's got Jake Slade and Sam Cullen for close company at the moment as they round turns 11 and 12. And the train then continues on back from there. Robbie Bradbury, Dylan Walker in behind them. And he was Johnny Bannock there, first of our Dev drivers in this race tonight. There's little trouble further on back at turn 11. Aaron Bryan has taken a bit of infield exploration in the 610. He's just recovered the car now as he comes through the final turn and drops off the back of that train that had sort of formed up quite nicely. So we're going to keep a close look on this one here into the Southern Loop. Start of lap 3 in this opening 15-minute sprint as Slade is searching for a way past Blake Fitz in this final podium spot as they make the run out to Stoner Corner. A little bit more momentum initially, but looks like it's going to be pretty neck and neck as they make their way down into the corner proper here at Miller for turn 4. I think we've seen some issues further on back in the pack. Wade Sheedy and Brad Rattu elbows out side by side through Miller. And it has stacked up. We may want to get a replay of that one or two. We're going to rewind to Stoner, because I thought I saw something in the corner of my eye of some drama. That was some contact potentially through Stoner Corner in this case. More important question there, how long till James Scott's battling for 5th? Yeah, look, it might be a matter of laps. Apparently probably issue for James is purely sheer numbers he's going to work through here tonight. A little surprising to see him on the grid, given that's not usually his normal hunting grounds. But also driving a Mustang. We normally would see him in a Camaro too, so it's really a night of opposites for James, I would suggest here, Matt. And as also welcome you into the commentary for this one here tonight. As we watch the field race on down the start-finish stretch side by side there between, I think it's Dane Sneddon and Trent Allen. Yeah, would be, as they make their way through turn 1. As this pack of cars is here and awaiting James Scott's attention. Oscar Haynes going to be the first one he tries to get past. As either Matt Schmicky's busy focusing on the broadcast production here for us tonight, or maybe muted his microphone and forgot to unmute it, but that's all right. That's what his job is here to do. My job is to yabber on folks. There's been a bit of a lob and a half from as a party at the Miller corner. It's also bombed Wade Sheedy off the road there. In the process, both drivers losing a handful of spots as they try and gather the cars back up. We're going to see this one here on our first Disruptive Labs replay of the night for the Supercars racing. There's a boys over there. Okay, yep. Yeah, Travis, that's unfortunately a bit of a mistake, to put it mildly. Handful of cars going to go on through in the process, and then he technically doesn't give the spot back to Wade. Yeah, it's he's the redress coming now. Apologies, just thought for a second that maybe you see sort of like most of the redress done, but then miss a bit. But nope, that's not the case. We carry on and get back to live pitches. As James Scott winning everything in SRW, Supercars competition races. Yeah, no, that checks out. Whilst I don't know who's racing in SRW currently, certainly very believable, and he would rock up and win. Also interested to see here that the Revolution e-racing boy is going to claim credit for his appearance here tonight. Also, not that I would necessarily, well, I can't confirm or deny that fact, so I'll have to roll with it here as Bradbury gets tagged by Dylan Walker in the Miller corner. That stacks them up there as Walker makes sure to not redress not take the spot away. Johnny Bannack then arrives on the scene, has to park the brakes on corner exit, and nearly has a lunge up the inside of Siberia, but isn't able to get a spot off him in the process. So all this is doing is just bringing drivers back to James as they work their way through the hay shed there. His next target, Dane Snadden, but just behind this shot here. And in fact, as we come up to Lukey Heights, the inside is open. He goes through, but Snadden apparently off in the weeds on the exit of the corner in the number 3. So possibly some issues there with contact perhaps happening through the middle of the corner. Actually, let me confirm that fact myself. Yeah, just going to see a bit of an extended replay of this one. So through the hay shed, and oh no, apologies, it was just a bit of a fake out, and the mine punt has come out from James Scott. Dane Snadden leaves the door open, and so open that unfortunately he runs himself off the road in the process over Lukey Heights before James could get there to him. Now, funnily, I can't actually read exactly who's typing that there in chat because something's happened to... there you go, it's cleaned up. Yes, hello, Blacklock. Why aren't you racing on track? You, whilst you may have wrapped up this season's Elite Championship already, unfortunately for Will Buchanan, by my numbers, there's nothing that he can do to steal that away from him here tonight. Which would also mean that, as an aside there for Sam, that is 4 Elite Class Championships in a row here to actually lock out season 2020, the year 2025 with the GSRC in the Elite split of our 2 here tonight. Of course, Elite and Dev to sort of break things up into a subclass as Scott now working on Dylan Walker for 7th place. I should also note out, folks, there is an invert top 8. So even if James doesn't get all the way to the front of the field here in race 1, where he roughly is right now will catapult him towards the front of the field for the slightly longer 20-minute race 2. And then he'll probably get chucked back to around P12 to start race 3, which will be the 35-minute main event of all of this here tonight. Yeah, look, he didn't show up. He's done a Dyson. We've now had two drivers who claimed the championship a round early and decided apparently he was going to dip out. I believe Blacklock has an excuse, but I'm not sure playing host also really counts at the same time as Oscar Haynes, Dane Snadden trying to scrap here for 13th place on the road. But no battles happening here, with Adam Lavis potentially in tow to try and get some spots in the Dev split battle that is happening out there tonight as well. And do note that whilst the Elite Split Championship is locked in the hands of Blacklock, and I also believe, well, it's not completely locked up, but it would take a pretty significant blunder for Buchanan to lose it to Robbie Bradbury for P2, that is, here tonight. Things are a little bit more fluid in the Dev split. Johnny Bannack leads by 41 points over Adam Lavis, which at this stage is certainly going to go the way of Bannack after the strong form in the second half of this season as we pick things up for him. As just seen James Scott get to the inside of Robbie Bradbury. That is now P6 for the man. So just over 2/3 of the way through the race, he is picked up, having been required to not qualify for this race. 21 positions. He is by far and away the driver who has moved through the field the most in this one so far, as there's been a bit of a moment for Tristan Kosh down in the back of the field through MG, but he's got going once again. A Ratu would replay. I'm just trying to think, did I miss something off screen, possibly, because I don't recall seeing anything with Brad Ratu.
I think
And Mitch Wood.
You did mention something to Ratu a couple laps ago, but I couldn't
Yeah,
see
that was
anything.
it was with Wayne Sheedy going. It was an eventual pass that happened, but this is apparently something. Apparently, Mitch Wood, there was something with him, but I have no clue what that was.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I'll
either.
have to resume some kind of information up and down the tree. So apologies for that one, folks. There is that much racing going on this track that it is a little hard to keep tabs on every single possible thing that you could want for. It is great to see we do have 30 cars out on track at this stage, if I'm not mistaken. I might just actually make sure I'm correct on that. Indeed, we do have a 30-car field here tonight. Oh, he's a great host, says Tyson. Well, I've got all my guys watching in chat, none of them except Brad Ratu and Dan Cheney out driving. Disappointment. Although I guess Blacklock has got the excuse of also, having just gotten back home from a little bit of a trip interstate, and then also, saying hello to another team member, and then also got himself a new shifter, courtesy of another teammate who decided that he needed a gift before Christmas. So it's been a busy social time for us as a team, actually, funnily enough. But nevertheless, that's kind of neither here nor there to this whole situation, because we've got ourselves Bradbury, Banach and Ratu together on the road for 8th outright, but it is technically 8th and 9th in elite, with the dev class leader splitting the sandwich in between as we work our way up towards the middle corner once again. Ratu wants on by Banach, but he can't get there on the brakes on this occasion, so he stays in line. Probably looking at, where is our race leader, Buchanan? Coming up towards the hay shed. We're going to get the white flag this time around, fellas. It will indeed be our 10-lap sprint as expected. And it's been a pretty comfortable run now for Buchanan. As he comes down into MG, has a 3.8-second margin. We've not talked about him or seen much of him this race, and it's sort of an apology to him in one half, but also a sign, once again, that comfortable race. He's doing the Blacklock, as it were, as he'll come around the last corner here as we watch from Barney's flag post. And the white flag will be waving just off the screen here. But there it is, kind of in our faces. So 4.4 kilometers left to go around here, folks, to conclude the first of 3 races. Don't forget, though, mind you, here for our Trophi.AI Supercar Series racing here. So Buchanan just needs to bring this one home to check off the first mark that he'd want for tonight. And Banach would like to do the same, but he's in this elite split sandwich. Andy Barber is about 3 seconds back, the next car in the dev split. So if he needs to bail out, he could afford to bail out per se. But then again, there is a bit of bragging rights of saying I stuck it with the boys and finished P9 in this race. Make of that what you will. I'm sure he'll be looking to do exactly that. But Ratu wants this spot. His door is open, or is that Banach trying to go for the spot on Bradbury? I don't think that's going to work for him here. It leaves the door open on the apex for Ratu, but it also means it's a fairly clean-cut move there. It doesn't hurt him too much in the circumstances. So he'll drop back an outright spot, but that's okay in the grand scheme. You're still the class leader, still on track for those maximum class points. It's here tonight as they swing through the hay shed, and they'll head on up. Just a few corners left, and we might just want to pick it back up with Will Buchanan here as the gap has grown. Blake Fitz is on the gearbox of Ryan Jones. Will catch them down the start-finish stretch to see if anything changes there. And if I did get things wrong, my apologies there. But for Will Buchanan, lights the flag for race number 1. He'll check off a box here to see if he can do the triple and sweep the round here in his for the elite split and AITT Revolution e-racing. He leads home Ryan Jones and Blake Fitz for your podium positions here tonight in outright in class. And the drag race to the line is going to see, Bradbury just beating out, Johnny Banach there by hundredths of a second. Indeed, yes, it was. My apologies, Bradbury for Pacific Esports Racing is very much not the same as Revolution e-racing. So there's very much 2 different pieces to that puzzle with separate part of it all involved there to wrap up our minor placings. So yeah, your elite podium, of course, your top 3 drivers in Buchanan, Jones and Fitz, and as you can see there, Johnny Bannack going to be your Dev Split winner ahead of Andy Barber, and Adam Lavis there, 14th outright, also making up some moves and spots there as well. And it's just going to be a couple of drivers, such as Martin Lipsky, to come around at the last turn now, and he will be able to claim a finish to this race. Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to catch up. I thought I saw something here. So we came through, starting a corner. There's been a big old tag into the corner, then a bit of a straightening up, as it were, although I have to see race control is present tonight, whether that needs anything. As you've been done in by the fact we've jumped to the race 2 grid.
I tried to get to it quickly.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think we'll have to leave that one be for tonight, folks. We'll go straight back into this one here, but we do have ourselves the inverted top 8 for this race. And actually, speaking of one of the drivers involved in that incident on replay, it will be Brad Ratzer, who gets to start this one in pole. Going to share the front row with Dylan Walker. James Scott, a P3 start, right in behind Ratzer. Watch for him to go straight for the race lead. Funnily enough, Sam Cullen, Jake Slade, Blake Fitz, Ryan Jones, Will Buchanan. Your top 8 will invert here, and that will be it. Everyone else, of course, starting, as they finished that second race. And with 30 drivers who took to the flag out of the 32 who were in practice, pardon me if we don't go through them all, but there they are, all flashed up on the screen, thanks to Matt Schmicke. So watch out for your faves, watch out for your teammates, and let's see who can get the job done as our last couple of drivers are going to take the grid just as the timer hits 0. 20 minutes on the clock for this race here. They still won't need to pit. We're looking at 13, maybe 14 laps. It all depends on the conditions. Lights out, and away we go. As there's a burnout by Walker from the front row. He'll lose that spot to James Scott, and we are already 4 wide almost there on the run off of the grid here in the mid-pack, but it's going to be Razza who leads them. James Scott with the freebie. Dylan Walker has been shot back down the order. How far back down the order? He's down in 8th place. Absolute nightmare of a launch for someone who is on the front row to start this race off here tonight and try and get himself a strong start. He'll go up the inside through the southern loop to get one of those spots back on Will Buchanan. But now he's got a lot of hard work to do in this race as they head on down to the Miller corner for the first time. Already defensive from Rasu as they'll try and get the car parked. It's slightly more favourable conditions in this one too, after qualifying being a scorching 48 degrees Celsius on the track. It's now down to just 24 degrees Celsius. So you would think they'll be able to hang on to this one a little bit better as this race progresses here. But there's been a little bit of elbows out in and amongst the drivers here so far, but they're all still together for the time being. So check that box, and here we go. Ratu versus Scott. These are 2 drivers that race each other elsewhere in other leagues. Scott, though, I would think is going to have the edge, and he's forcing Ratu to cover everything right from the get-go here if he wants to hold this spot up, and maybe, just maybe, can it drag one of the other drivers here into this battle to perhaps maybe put some inverse pressure on the bumper of Scott by maybe having to park him up in a few different places. But lap 1 going to be in the books here in just a moment's time, and it's a run through the last couple of corners here. Nothing between the top 2 as they head on down the stretch, and Ratu again going to cover that inside, deny an opportunity for Scott to get him up the apex. But Scott's going to cross over from the preferred entry point. He's going to have all of that entry speed into the southern loop. Can he then get it stopped on the apex perhaps, as Ratu holding the apex curve for his dear life? And it's going to work for now at least, but that certainly means I would expect there'll be a lunge coming in due course. If there's any sniff of an opening for James Scott, he will take it. For the time being, he's being told the outside is your only option at this one. And for now, it's not going to come of anything for him just yet. Jake Slade up 2 spots off this start of the race. Ryan Jones is already up to P4 after finishing 2nd in race number 1. Blake Fitz there trying to go with Jones. Buchanan also up 2 spots. It's a bit of a slower start for Will on this one here. We'll wait and see. Then Sam Collins unfortunately dropped the spots, as has Dylan Walker. That is your top 8 in the invert as they go so far. Other drivers who are making big moves, +6 for Josh Fitt after falling way down the order with a penalty for jumping the start of the first race, and having to now grind his way through the mid-pack of this one here. Also seeing +4 for Jace Douglas and Oscar Haynes both. And then, yeah, You're into the drivers like Ryan Jones +3, along with Mitch Wood down in 14th place, and so on and so forth. And you're into the +2s and your +1s. Unfortunately, for Dylan Walker, whilst he's down 6 spots off his start, it's actually not the worst start of the race. That unfortunately goes the way of Andy Barber, from 12th down to 20th place, and very much in the wars there. I might have to try and cover why that's happened, if a chance does give that to us. But at this stage in this race, I get the feeling we're going to be a little preoccupied wherever we look. And as we look here, back at the front of the field, you can see they're just off with shot. Well, defence continues from Brad Rassi, but Ryan Jones sees no defence from Jake Slade and will go straight for that apex at the Miller corner, and he will take away P3 at this point in time. Fitz not able to do anything with a potential gap that opened up through the corner for now. As there's been a bit of trouble down at the hairpin, speaking of, for a couple of drivers further on back. Cheney going slightly off the road. Josh Fitt, I think I saw in a bit of a spin on the exit of the corner. Not sure what triggered all of that. Let's see here for Josh Fitt. So he's up behind one of our Whiskey Business cars. Apologies, I can't quite pick out who that is. 151. Also in 61, Nathan Michael.
Yes.
And actually does it all by himself there, just trying to get the power down on the outside. Car says no. And then you've got off in the background, I think that's Terry Marsh. So a couple of drivers there. Overdriving entry, overdriving exit. And I think Dan Chee's going to do the same here as well. Watch him come in behind Marsh and Aaron Bryan. He's just sucked in, I think. Yeah, whoops, off we go. And one of our other AITT cars also, I think, taking this a bit of an excursion through the dirt and gravel. But they're back on track, they're still going. It's all okay for now. Back live, lap 4 of this race, and James Scott rearing up for another attack. He just gave up a car length on lap 3, but looks like that may have just been a momentary pressure release to try and false sense of security or some kind of thing there. As there we go, looks into Siberia, but doesn't get there in time. Whoa. For a second there, Ratsu not quite going for the defense. I wondered if that was going to be his downfall there on that one, but it would appear not just yet, as they'll run up through the hay shed once again. And this tete-a-tete is going to continue for a little while longer, folks. We sit waiting and wondering when the move will come, but for now, it's going to be quarter of a car length, I'll call it there, through MG as they complete this 4th lap and go just past the 6-minute marker in this race. Also going to have to watch out for those battles there in behind Jake Slade, probably is where it needs. Going to have to look next inside this top 10 or so, as Dylan Walker's jumping to, oh no, did Dylan Walker accidentally load up his qualifying setup or something? This fits the inside of Slade into turn number 1 here. He's going to get the move almost completely done there by the time we get through the middle of the corner. And that'll mean no chance of a return serve from Slade just yet. And he's got Buchanan in behind. We'll see if Will can make a run of it to try and get some more spots in this second race here tonight. Currently sits 3 seconds off the race lead, but that's not really far. It's just the number of cars that are going to be involved in all of this here at this stage, I think, which might be a little difficult now. Obviously got it his way with pole position in the opening sprint, and everyone's putting up a bit of a stiff resistance in this second one. And then, of course, our 2 drivers up front who perhaps well, they were out of position by the way things work, as Edward Rollo's had a bit of a moment at the hairpin. He was parked on the apex, but going once again. He's locked the rears going into the corners. We'll watch here. He's going to hit the brakes in a second, unfortunately. Maybe a combination of braking, gear shifts. You're going to see right about now. There it goes. And Dan Ricchini had to skirt to the inside of the apex. Actually picked up a slowdown for his troubles too, if you can believe it there. As he hits the car. Speaking of trouble, Nathan Michael is around at MG along with Andy Barber.
Maverick.
And Lavis apparently involved as well. But back live, back with the leaders, because there's nothing in it between Brad Ratsu and James Scott inside of turn 1. There it goes. The road actually opening up for James Scott with a potentially cheeky hit to grass. He says, that's enough. I'm coming through. Although Ratu's going to push him back through turn 2 and steal that one right back. All right. It's on for the race lead, although apparently James is not particularly impressed with that one there. So he calls that one in. And we await to see if that's going to be a fair game or need to be something done about that one. He nearly returns serve at the hairpin, but it's only a touch. All right, so there you go. That extra bit of road that even I wasn't fully aware of there on the run down the start-finish stretch into a T1. Opening up just enough for James Scott to be able to claim a full cards with on the circuit. Well, Brad, if you want to defend the race lead, and if you're allowed to keep this up, you now know exactly how far you're going to have to drive it to the right-hand side of the track. You can afford to leave nothing to spare on this circuit. I get the feeling that'll James will certainly rise to the occasion here once again. So through the last corner, Ratu looks a little wide through the apex. Has he got the run down the straight though to protect on this particular occasion? For now, yeah, he still has to cover it. James doesn't go for the gap this time on the inside. He'll swing back out, trying to get a bit of a better run through the corner. Can he get to the inside? Nope, he can't. Ratu's positioning on entry kind of helps him for turn 2 as it happens. But there we go, bit of a bumper knock on the middle of the corner, trying to unsettle your current race leader here as they get towards the second half of this race on laps and time. Swing through the sweeper here at Stoner. Set up for the hairpin at Miller. Almost fully side by side under brakes here as Ratu will cover the inside all the way. And he can just drive out a tiny bit better with the inside line as it turns out. As Ryan Jones is catching them with this battling now. And this is what we wanted to maybe see, is perhaps the defensive operation from Brad Ratu, perhaps bringing a few more drivers into this fight, Matt. Although it's still going to be slow going because Ryan Jones sitting at 1.4, apparently up to 1.5 as they hit Lukey Heights. They're going to need a bit more of that door banging and bump to pass. As there we go, race control. Not too happy with the racing on display from Brad Ratu. And that's going to see him tumble down the order. 5 seconds for reference. That's behind Sam Cullen in P7 and about 9/10 ahead of Johnny Banach. So that's where Ratu is now going to be sitting on results in this race officially after the penalty stack. It obviously won't affect the inverts coming our way for race 3, but there we go. No challenge to T1 this time, Matt, as we cross the halfway mark on time. Scott's not quite close enough on this particular occasion, but he'll have a go soon enough, don't you worry. Phil Buchanan still behind Jake Slade for P5 and 6 respectively. Johnny Banach still your dev class leader in position number 8, and he's actually now got a very comfortable margin over his fellow dev competitors, and critically none of them are inside the inverts, which means that should he stay roughly around P8 for this remainder of this race, he'll be catapulted up to about 5th place to start the final race of 3, and his nearest competition will be down in 14th place. And that will mean that he's in a very comfortable spot for the longest race of the night.
Yeah, and if you want to know how hard these boys are battling, if you take a look here, they are I've only got it to 2 decimal points there. They are 4 thousandths of a second difference on the last 5 lap average. They are neck and neck on top of each other the entire race.
That checks out, and certainly we hope to see more of the good stuff here. As rounding turns 11 and 12, the defensive lines continue from Brad Ratu. James Scott's yet to find another real good chance to have a probe, or maybe at the very least he's going to save it up for a bigger move, perhaps when Ratu's not expecting it. Apparently, turn 1 this time, it will not be the case. As here we go, as the pace now updates with some of those lap times, the battles that these drivers have put in. It's going to go the way of Blake Fitz, the fastest driver on average of the last 5 laps. So there you go, that little shift there in the situation. Oh, as I say that, Fitz has just run off the road in Southern Loop. He's going to drop out of that podium contention that he was keeping company with Ryan Jones for. And now he's got the AITT cars back on his bumper. Jake Slade and Buchanan still in that order. As we head down to the hairpin here. Lap 9 of what I expected to be 14 based on the lap times I was able to find beforehand. They're still doing 1 minute 33s here at the pointy end of the field. It might make for only 13 laps as a result. With those couple of seconds ticking away, we'll have to keep you posted as the clock counts down in this 20-minute race. 13 and a half gone, coming up on 6 to go, plus the next lap after that. All right, up and over, Lukey once more, MG. There's no big movement here from these guys, despite how close they are on the road. Same for the leaders, there's no change there, so we'll keep them in the back of mind, back of shot, as it were, for this next little bit. Let's have a look elsewhere in the field, perhaps. We've got other battles we want to have a highlight on. You've got nearly a second between, 9th and 10th, but here we go. 8/10 between Bradbury and Oscar Haynes, just outside the 10, and critically, Oscar Haynes is the driver who controls that P12 position, which will be the invert pole for our third and final race. So that's one to keep in mind, that he's currently got some time back to Jace Douglas too, so he's not under pressure for that spot. Can Jace potentially catch? 34.7 plays 34.5, okay. 10th and a half in it. Maybe he can work his way up to the back bumper of the 644 Mustang here on screen with this Penrite retro paint scheme. Transplant or copied over onto it.
You can actually look at their average pace compared to each other for the people around them. So Oscar Haynes is... it's
600 slower.
Yeah.
Than Jace Douglas. Now that level, it's not going to be enough. He's going to need to see a lot more average pace, or a lot more pace difference than 600s to give Douglas time to get to him and effect a pass. But as I said, 10th and a half in the last lap. It's certainly not a linear progression in that case. And that'll be one to watch out for in due course. Also looks like Adam Lavis leads Tom Donahoe and Dale Sharp on the road. And it's a bit of a argy-bargy, because there you go. You've got yourselves two drivers up the inside. Donahoe trying to hang it around the outside of Lukey Heights. I think he's just made that work for now, but it's lost him the attack on Lavis and gives Sharp a chance to really apply a couple of screws of his own. Hang on to it, Dale. Oh, he's just done so. As Buchanan going to sneak on up the inside of Jake Slade up the front of the field there. So that will release the number 281 into P5. He's got to get through Blake Fitz, mind you, so that's still a battle that needs to be had to get him back to P4 position. But we wait now with breath to see what happens there. And then you've got here Trent Allen trying to hold on to P9 ahead of Dayton Snadden. So another battle for position there as well. It's one to watch. Let's go up to the battle for P5 if we can. It's getting a little feisty as Blake Fitz has to fend off Will Buchanan, who I think has very much been unshackled by his teammate Jake Slade now, as he's immediately hounding the gearbox of the 686. Now he's a little slippery out of Siberia and up towards the hay shed. Doesn't present an opportunity just now for Buchanan. He'll certainly test the waters. Better apex, I think, there as well. He's able to get the car back to the curb a little bit better too as he comes over the rise. And defensive from Fitz as he comes down the hill into MG. And now got to watch for who's got better traction, better lines for the last couple of turns. I have to say for Buchanan there, a little too shallow with the entry to turn 11. Doesn't get the drive out that he needs to be able to go after that one there. Through 11, but through 12, he's slightly earlier to the apex than Fitz, and it ends up being about neutral. They both get a decent drive off the corner in the second half of that one there. We'll watch for his cars to race on down the stretch to turn number 1, and it will be unchanged for now, although Buchanan better through the apex, gets a tighter entry, more apex speed, and he closes the gap to well, it is nothing at this point. Hundredths is in it here as they round the southern loop. Fitz using all of the road and then a bit of the grass. Does it hurt the run? Marginally. They'll sweep through Stoner Corner here. Buchanan has to go to the outside here at turn number 4, the Miller Corner. He'll try to cross back over, gets the rears lit up on exit. slides away from him fractionally, and he can't make an attack into Siberia here on this current occasion, lap 12 of the race. And by the time we get around to see the white flag, oh, this is going to be close. We're going to have to watch Barney here when we get there. Coming up to MG are our leaders now. Actually, no, we're going to get the white flag this time around, folks. It will be a 13-lap sprint for race 2 of 3 for the night. So there's only about 5 kilometers left in it here for Buchanan, but he forces defenses from Fitz again. Doesn't park the exit, compromise the run. So far, not quite. And if anything, Fitz better through turn 11 in that particular spot of the road. It means that Buchanan's got more work to do down the start-finish stretch and through the final corner than he'd probably like. White flag is going to be in the air for your race leaders as they head on down to turn number 1 for the final time. Scott closing in the draft into that first corner, but as you can see on the tower, and as I can see on my end, no moves made just yet. Don't forget that Brad Ratsu officially after the race will be penalised and taken down the order. He's now going to slot in front of Blake Fitz, the official post-race result. That's where 5 seconds gets you now, thanks to the defensive driving here and the lack of a fight for the race lead. But Scott and Ratsu are side by side. I think we need to go up to them. Scott gets the nose ahead into the hairpin. There it is. The lunge has come on the last lap, and Ratsu's going to let that one go. We might want to try and snatch the replay of that one afterwards if we can. Whether that was a concession from Ratsu that, well, he's been penalised previously for return serve after James Scott got audacious with his pass into turn 1. That there wasn't any real value to defending the spot on the road. It won't hurt him in terms of positions lost or gained based on the time penalties that have been applied to him. We'll show the nose one last time into MG corner. But after waiting 13 laps, James Scott's got his man and now just has 2 corners left to run this one home. Buchanan has just had a big old slide out of MG, and I think he'll have to concede that P5 is the best he can do on the road today. And also, will be P5 on the road after the penalty for Brad Ratsu. But for James Scott, he waited, he took his first chance, and it ended up costing a penalty for Brad Ratsu in the process. He will walk away the winner of the second race here tonight from Phillip Island. Jones runs out the podium. Blake Fitz holds on ahead of Buchanan, Slade, Cullen, Johnny Bannock, your Dev winner once again there, 8th outright for him. And then Dane Sneddon and Trent Allen, your top 10 to round out the first third of tonight's field. Dev podium rounded out there just now by Mitch Wood and Wade Sheedy, as we are going to see the move here on replay. So you can see here, out of Southern Loop, about as close as they'd ever been out of turn 2, and make the run down towards Stoner. Actually, there you go. Yeah, Ratsu this time concedes the spot. I think he knows with the time penalty coming up here, Matt, there's no need to defend the spot, and if anything, it's in his best interests to let James go there. He can at least consolidate a P3 in behind Ryan Jones as he will finish ahead of Blake Fitz officially once the time penalty is applied on Adam Laves' spreadsheets.
Yeah, he probably figured if you battle too hard, they run the risk of dropping further down the order with the penalty. Not that Bradley is too much in the championship battle where the points would matter too much, but it's still good to not have to worry about dropping too many points.
Yeah, 100%. That's also some interesting factors there to note, indeed. Yeah. Yeah, Buchanan will be on the way. Yeah, second place is now very much locked up, I believe, for him versus Robbie Bradbury, who in turn I think is locked P3 versus Josh Fitt, who's had a bit of a shocker and actually went to the back of the field pretty much in race number 2. Dane Sneddon. Dane, where have you been tonight compared to Josh real quick? 13th and 9th. 24th. Okay, we, I think, are on to see P4 and the elite split change hands. With Sneddon jumping Josh Fitt officially. And for the devs, as I said, it's been pretty much a Johnny Bannock show this second half of the season. And that continues to, I believe, be the case. Only time he hasn't been a round winner or on the round podium for the dev split class was at Mexico City back now 3 weeks ago. Every other time since he joined the series at Algarve, class winner, second place in class. It's a pretty mean streak there, only slightly bested by, as I was saying, Andrew Dyson's run in the TransAms.
Yep, it looks like Johnny's got this one pretty well tied up, even having to take 2 donuts for his drop rounds, having not raced in the first 2 rounds. He's done very well.
Yeah, the critical thing there being is, yes, he's missed 2 races, but he's then proceeded to, his worst finish by a round result, if I can count these points up real quickly, is 6th, because we had a tie for 5th place at Mexico City on points between Wade Sheedy and Ryan Barber. So to put that all in perspective there a little bit, that's the situation we're playing with here. Well, folks, here we are for the 3rd and final race. Invert the top 12 from the results of that 20-minute race 2, as it were. So Oscar Haynes did hold on to that invert podium. He's got Robbie Bradbury to share the front row with him here this final race. Trent Allen, Dane Saturn will share row number 2 to kick things off here tonight. And as we said there, P5 for Johnny Bannock is now a world ahead of anyone he's racing with for dev points. Sam Cullen shares the row with him there tonight. Jake Slade will be, there you go, going to make that almost 5 Revolution E racing cars in a row. Blake Fitz, Ryan Jones to top 10, with of course Brad Rattu, James Scott taking the raw race results. Of course, not the post-race penalty for Rattu there. And as I said, results from here on back, 13th are as they finish in this race. Unfortunately, folks, we can't flick through them all as they're about to get the green flag once again. We will hopefully see 13 or 30 cars. It sounds like we might have some retirements tonight in this 3rd one. Compulsory pit stop to worry about as well in this one. It is also a scorching 49 degrees Celsius on the circuit. Let's get racing from the island one last time here on a Wednesday night to finish off the season. And they're on the turn 1, side by side for Bradbury and Haynes. They're going to lean on each other through the middle of the corner, and Haynes will run out with the inside, allowing him that run through that corner. And Trent Allen putting the pressure now on for 2nd ahead of Bradbury, as they will swing around the southern loop here and have to deal with a very hot, very dry, and very slippery track by comparison to what they were used to in race number 2. Big check up through turn number 3, Stoner corner, sorry. All kinds of a mouthful here as they jump on the anchors. Try and get this one pulled up. There's a bit of contact after a check up there. Oh, Dale Sharp's been pushed off the road. And the exit of Miller corner there. He'll be pointing the right direction as then there's contact. Seeing Ratsu 45 degrees to the road for a moment, but he gets pointing the right way again. He's now got Scott right behind him. They haven't moved from their starting spots officially as a result of this one here because of what's been going on with them and around them in this race. And it's a bit of double file action potentially with Jace Douglas and Jake Slater's. Oh, Bradbury's off. Trent Allen having a moment up ahead there at MG. So there's been some kind of issue at the very front of the field here to start this opening lap. Oh, Trent Allen's got the right rear corner of Bradbury. Both cars have survived. Just stack up the field a little bit there. And Bradbury able to recover and stay in second place. So we're going to go to a replay of it and watch for what happens down the hill into MG corner itself. So half a look from Allen over the top of Lukey High. That's here, but nothing comes of it. He then looks for the inside of Bradbury, but Bradbury also angles the car over a fraction. Question there of well, was that moving to shut the door down? Was the overlap established? The contact happens behind Bradbury's right rear corner. I can tell you from having watched it at a different angle. There's been more issues down at the hairpin. That's Brad Rattu on the inside, along with Mitch Wood in the grass. Daniel Cheney's also just driving by there, having been off the road on the outside of the corner as well. A lot of headaches there. All of a sudden, has happened there to all of those drivers. So Ratu up the inside of Mitch Wood through the exit of Southern Loop, and actually gets well clear through Miller. And then holy dive bomb coming in. Blake Fitz has blown past the corner, and Ratu's move to avoid that car has unfortunately put him in the door of Mitch Wood. And it's spun both of them in the process, Matt. That's a pretty cruel case of trying to preserve the car. And, well, it didn't preserve the car, nor did it help somebody else out in the process.
Yeah, that was a very interesting thing. You saw Blake coming in at 1,000,000 miles an hour and expected a huge smash, but he managed to miss everyone, and just unfortunately for Ratu and Wood, just the way they've kind of checked up to avoid Blake, they've ended up sideways on the track.
Well, compulsory pit stop still coming in this one, folks, but by my numbers, they're going to have to get to about lap 8 before they can fill up enough to make it home. So you don't really want to be coming in too early into the pits. Back live, back to the front of the field. This is lap 3 of this race, and Oscar Haynes has been tagged by Bradbury. 3 wide, Buchanan and Jones alongside Bradbury. We somehow survive and get back out the other side. Oh, it's getting feisty here as they all stack up behind the man who started this race on the pole. Tags between Jones and Bradbury side by side off Siberia corner. Snadden's got Scott to his outside through the hay shed as the 2x2 here in the middle of the field, and Scott runs off the road. Jones runs half the car off the road. Bradbury trying to hold the spot here up through Lukey Heights. He can't hang on though around the outside in this temperature. Ryan Jones gets P3. James Scott up to P4, although Slade trying to outbreak him on the outside will not win that battle in these conditions at that corner. But he now gets the inside for Dane Snadden. Can he finish the job? Snadden slides it out through turn 11. He loses the rear for a moment there, and Jace Douglas will take a spot off him in the process. And the front pack scatters again, although you have everyone back to Blake Fitz, the top 12 on the road currently, sort of a 3-odd second chain of cars. There's just some gaps in between. Buchanan going for the race lead on Oscar Haynes into turn 1, and he's going for it. Gets a nose ahead. Is he clear? He's clear on the exit of the opening corner. Back to the race lead, like he so dominantly controlled in the opening sprint to kick this night off for the Supercars. Let's see what he can do now with these hot conditions that he got pole position in earlier on in qualifying tonight. And with the drivers behind him, Oscar Haynes, again, has been up here so far all this race, which is good to see for him. What will that do to this race order for the next couple of laps? First penalty from race control. Incident on lap 1 between Nathan Michael and Blake Fitz. These 5-second penalties of car 686 going in the books. Again, it'll be a post-race time penalty. Can't be served during the race, so that'll mean it'll all affect things afterwards for him. That's not the only lap 1 incident that was called in, so we'll have to see what happens in the next little while. Race leader is A-OK through Lukey Heights at MG indeed. Bradbury, what do we hear? Bradbury, goodness me, I'm so sorry, I can't hear. Jake Slade, Jace Douglas, and then Dane Stanton and Sam Cullen all together here in a pack of 3 and a pack of 2, separated by a microcosm, as it were, as we swing through the last corner. Douglas looking aggressive at the inside of Slade's corner there, but he can't get the run on the start-finish stretch. These guys are all really hassling now for these spots as Trent Allen further on back is going to dive into the pit lane. I think that's too soon. I don't think he can make it from there, having chosen to make that stop, unless the fuel burn is a little better than I was able to find based on publicly available data. As to the outside, that's not going to work for you, Jake. You're just going to lose the spot to Douglas on the exit as a Southern Loop. Yep, runs wide. Douglas gets on through. Dane Snadden surely also with an opportunistic run coming up here, but he's going to be on the outside for the Miller corner. Although through Stoner, it's so hot that Slade can't even hold that line and momentum. Down into the hairpin here, side by side between Douglas and now Dane Snadden. Snadden will lose that. Jake Slade to the inside. Can he get the run off the corner here? Side by side back at Siberia again. Going to mean that Snadden will win with the apex. Again, inside is king in temperatures like this at a track like this, Matt. And I think the drivers are going to have to learn that one pretty quick if they want to make moves stick.
Yep, I think. Oh, that was close. Yep.
Side by side in front of Douglas and Bradbury. And Douglas has muscled his way up through Lukey Heights. So there you go. Quick headlight flash as well from Bradbury. So maybe a bit of elbows out required to make that one work. But that's P5 for the 995 Camaro. And then watch them all here. Oh, Stanton's car looks a handful at low speed in particular. I wonder if he's burned up the tyres a fraction and then swing through the last turn here. For a second, it looked like he was threatening to run very wide, but no, he just ends up being in the right spot. As James Scott's right on the gearbox of Ryan Jones. And in fact, is he going for a move there on Jones? Not quite. He's still behind him as they go through turn 3, but he was within 100th of a second, or 10th of a second of him on the start-finish stretch, to put it in perspective. It's getting very, very feisty there indeed. So more penalties from race control. 5-second penalty to the 169, which, or 159 Josh Fitz, sorry. As Haynes and Jones are off. Oscar Haynes, Ryan Jones have gone off the road. Brad Ratcher gets a time penalty for the incident where he tried to dodge Blake Fitz and he's accidentally tagged Mitch Wood. I will admit, I think that's a bit of an interesting call from race control. I understand that, yes, he's ultimately caused the incident, but what are you also meant to do when you've got a car that cannonballs into a gap, either means move or die? As here we go, this is what's happened down at the Miller corner. Defensive, offensive combo from Ryan Jones has not worked for him or for Oscar Haynes, and it's allowed James Scott through to P2 as there's just been contact between Dane Snadden and Robbie Bradbury down in MG corner on lap 6 here. That's going to allow Snadden through, but Bradbury all the way back to P12 as a result of that there.
Boys are really turning it on in this race. This is wild.
It's hotter, it's getting hotter, it's hit 50 degrees Celsius. The track is as good as lava in this state of the situation. And try and sort this one out. Turn number 1 between Fitz and Cullen. So let's have a look at this one here. So Bradbury's slow, misses the apex of Lukey Heights. It invites Dane Snadden to challenge as you come up and over the hill. But he's just not really there, and he gets him at the right rear tyre. I get the feeling, based on what we've seen tonight, that'll be looked at pretty dimly by race control in the process. Speaking of race control decisions, whilst we're looking at those replays and cutting back and so forth, Blake Fitz got a warning for the way he lost control down here at the turn 3, at the turn 4 hairpin, and gained the spots on Ratu and Wood, I believe. Since there hasn't been anything else for Blake Fitz in this race. He's back live here, lap 7. Not even a third of the race distance complete. My voice is going to be struggling, to put it mildly, with the way these guys are going at it, hammer and tongs. Yeah. So they work their way up over MG. Oh, big dive and contact this time between Snadden and Fitz at the apex of turn number 10. It is becoming a lot of a... Contact is becoming very much part of the passing game here today.
Yeah, well, if we...
See how quickly that gets slapped on the wrist by race control.
You can see how much them battling is affecting their pace. Buchanan and Scott with their clear air are just miles ahead on their average pace compared to everyone else. So then Jones, who's now popped up into third, is quick though. Ratu, being, I guess he's in some clear air near the back somewhere, is also going very fast.
Yeah, trying to make up for ending up down the order. Yeah, so it's not ideal for him, but he'll try and sort that one out. Next penalty come through Dane Snadden, 5-second penalty for his attempted pass, well, pass with contact, I should say, on Robbie Bradbury. As Sam Cullen has just absolutely missed the corner at turn 4, and now Blake Fitz back through. Yes, here we are. Oscar Haynes trying to fend off Jace Douglas, but he has no traction, it seems, out of the slower stuff here at Surrey. No traction through the sweeper of turn 7. By the time we get to turn 8 at the hay sheet, he's going to barely leave Douglas any room on the road. There's a tag at the rear up into Lukey Heights. Can Oscar get it pulled up? Does he come up over the crest? He can. Just. These guys are fighting their cars, and the track continues to warm up. And this is the thing. These guys are struggling. Around goes Oscar Haynes at turn 11. Oh, big 360 in the dirt. And in fact, he actually decides that's going to be on. Yeah, I think so. That's enough. There's Jake Slade. Jumps to the pit lane into lap 7. Or pardon, lap 8. Early pit stop call. About as early as I think you can make it here today. And still get home on fuel. As Blake Fitz, it's his turn to get a 5-second penalty for the incident with Dane Snedden at MG corner. As he gets an over-under attempt to try and protect this spot from Jace Douglas in the door through Southern Loop. They'll go side by side and lean on each other, and he'll shut the door off on the exit of the corner. Sam Cullen there as well, trying to get a run on Douglas in return, who turns down on him. Bit of hip and shoulder and wiggle and bump down into Miller. Cullen tries to close down the door to get the spot back, but he's in the gravel. He's in the gravel on the outside, loses the rear. Douglas will carry on, and Davidson will actually get past him here at Siberia, I believe, side by side at least through the corner proper. And yeah, inside going to win once again here at Phillip Island. In fact, Cullen loses the spot to Johnny Bannack in the process. That's how much he's ended up out of shape, out of rhythm, as tries to get the car back underneath him here. And yeah, we've lost Oscar Haynes from on the server, in addition to losing Tom Donahoe and Trent Allen in this race, as well as a retirement pre-race by Mark Lipsky, unfortunately. So we are down numbers in this third and final race of the night. For a second I thought I saw someone in the fence there side of shot, but apparently not. I'm just imagining things. And so we carry on. More pit takers. Cullen and Bradbury hit the lane here at the end of lap number 9. The thing is, for me, that's early days, because the tyres will, if you can hang on to it, they'll like it if you can do a shorter second stint. We've still got 20 minutes to go. You've barely cracked 1/3 distance in this race here, Matt, but I can see now practically everyone down to, pardon me, what is that? Edward Roller is an exception, and he's just going past everyone now, it seems. Yeah, P15 on backwards have all stopped in this race, interestingly.
Yep, that would be correct.
And a lot of them pitting now. Actually, this makes me want to check something. Did I forget something about the rules for this race? Is it possibly 2 compulsory stops? It's a super sprint now.
It's one, as far as I know.
Compulsory.
Yeah, it's one.
I thought it was only 1 compulsory stop. Let's just double check that fact. No, it's actually purely just, yeah, super sprint 35-minute race gets double points relative the other 2 races tonight, but that's the only thing to note there. So they should be able to do about 15 laps on fuel by my numbers. But here we are, laps 8, 9, 10. More cars diving in, such as Johnny Bannack and Wade Sheedy, who are actually pretty close together on the track. So despite the fact that Bannack had the advantage of being in the middle of the top 12, that may have been a bit of a disadvantage in this third and final race. We had a lot of hungry people who are looking for spots. And hey, when you've got a class championship looking to wrap up, a bit of peace and quiet is something I get the feeling he wouldn't have minded. And this was not the race for it.
Yeah, it's better to just consolidate, and if you drop a few positions, that's what happens, rather than battle too hard and end up in a wall somewhere.
There we go. Sam Cullen and Jake Slade get out ahead of Bannack and Sheedy with their undercut, and on their slightly fresher tyres make hay while the sun shines. Nothing new from race control since that last penalty for Blake Fitz on his contact with Dane Snedden. That's the last of the news from the booth there. More importantly, I'd almost argue, news from the front of the field. Will Buchanan is holding James Scott somewhat even for now. I have not seen that margin shift much between the top 2 of the race. In fact, looking at it, Buchanan, a 1/10.5 faster than James Scott on that last lap. Now, that may have to do with the fact that, well, possibility of looking after your tyres slightly better. Just as I say that, James Scott knocks in a 10.5 faster than Buchanan to sort of neutralise those last 2 laps by comparison, as Snadden and Nathan Michael hit the pit lane from inside the top 10. And the update there, race control tower's gone quiet. Yeah, you call, as you said there earlier as well, you call bet. They took your bet. Although apparently it was only for a couple of laps to start off. Maybe. Pit stop cycle might just, you know, open a new powder keg on that one in due course. Yeah. I will comment no more on that situation.
That's what I was about to say. Is I'm expecting once all the pit stop cycles complete, we might go back to the fighting here and everywhere. They've just spread out a bit due to the pits.
Put it on the simmer, let it come up to a nice cook, and then it'll just go into overdrive and boil. There we go. Looking a little bit further down the order here. Whilst this is a battle that's affected by time penalties post-race, Brad Ratu and Dane Sadden, I get the feeling this might have been a pass of late. Pardon me. Ratu getting the undercut to work on Dane Snadden is what that is, by 2 laps. Although down in the Miller corner, Snadden has a good crack at that one there at the apex. Can't find a way through just yet though. So we will stay as we are for a little bit longer. James Scott, Blake Fitz, Chase Douglas all hit the lane on lap 12. We are getting close to running out of fuel, and we are past the halfway mark of the race. Buchanan's pace is also dipping slightly. If I was Will Buchanan, I would be coming in on this lap because you do not want to give James Scott a free kick with a set of tyres, which will allow him to absolutely blitz on pace. That would be my only concern at this stage of the race. If Will Buchanan wants a good crack at, because legitimately I think Will could have a good crack at hanging onto this lead for a bit, just like we saw in race 2 between Ratu and Scott. If he pits now on this next lap, chance that he can have a good scrap with James here.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, folks. If he stays out any longer than that, James will undercut him and be able to obviously walk off into the sunset from there. Still on between Ratu and Snadden through turn 1 as Trophi.AI Mustang aims to defend from the Whiskey Business Camaro. They've now got Jace Douglas for company 2, who's just come out of the pits, so fresher tyres again. Watch out for that as they work their way down to turns 3 and 4. Stoner, Miller. Again, as I've heard some people say, Ratu runs it, misses the apex. Easiest pass of Daniel Statton's life. He says, thank you very much, I'll take that. Douglas not close enough to capitalise at Miller, but he'll threaten Siberia. Can't get there though just yet. Watch out for that to possibly happen in a couple of laps though. There we go. Buchanan has heeded the advice. He's in the pit lane alongside Ryan Jones. Can we go up to James Scott or Buchanan and watch for the blend on pit exit, please? Because this is going to be important as a party's in. Is Cheney coming into the pits on this lap too, or is he going to stay out? No, he's going to stay out, and I think he might just snatch the race lead for a lap here. Buchanan versus Scott, where is it going to be? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. 1 lap. 1 lap, and James Scott has gone from 2 seconds behind to nothing behind Will Buchanan. And he now has to only a 1 lap disadvantage on tyres. Fitz and Cullen have gotten the elbows out through turn 1, and it's ended up with Fitz dropping behind in the process of gathering up the car. Banak for a second thought he could have a crack at that one there, but can't do it. As here we go for the effective race lead. James Scott takes half a lap and says, I want this one without any fuss. And unfortunately for Will Buchanan, there's no defence offered up on this occasion here.
Yeah, it looked like Will's car had a big slide coming on through turn 3, so we might have to go back and have a look, and maybe got a bit of a bump there or something. Just thought I saw it as we flipped the camera over.
Well, worth a shot, whether it's a bit of help or a case of maybe just asking a tiny bit too much of the tyre, given it is still a fraction cold, and Mossy tyre does nominally work best at low temps. There's a tiny bit of warm-up. But oh, that angle was not helpful. I will need to go have a look from another angle to confirm. But end result obviously still is that James gets back on through. Stand by. There was a touch. James with a bit more speed through Stoner corner. Able to get to the back bumper of Buchanan, upset the 281 Camaro a fraction. And as a result, that makes the move a little easier into the Miller corner. Will is still there, but now about a car length and a half. A lap later, as we swing through this sweep up and set up the hairpin. Well, James a fraction defensive, and Will very nicely done there. Holds the apex curb a long time to grip the car around the hairpin there. This one, yeah, this isn't done just yet, folks. I was about to sign it off completely and say, no offense to Will, as much as he's been a great competitor this season here, that I would think James would just be able to walk away. And there's hints of it at points, but then the driving is not conclusive of that fact either. So stay tuned for this one, but possibly to have a little bit more bite in the back end of these next couple of laps. So coming up on 10 minutes to go. I estimated 23 laps for this one here tonight. And swing around the corner. We're coming up here 9 minutes. Oh, let's see here. Yep, 49 minutes and 38 seconds. 37 seconds there. Incident further down the field. Terry Marsh picks up a time penalty for contact with Azzopardi on lap 14. See him drop down the order a bunch. Where is Terry at this stage of the race? 21st place. And 10 seconds on knocking back behind Edward Rollo. He's trying to also put the afterburners on Greg Heaney's car for a 20th position on the road, even though now a time penalty after the fact is going to nullify all of that. As James Scott's just run deep at the hairpin at Miller. He's given an option to Will Buchanan. And in fact, he's going to let that one go for now. All right. Either allowing that one to be a return at the serve, or he's willing to sort of test something out here with Will and see how what he's got for him here in this part of the race. There's a request if there's any chance we could possibly try to figure out that lap 14 penalty. Matt, for
let's see what we've got here.
I might have triggered it. Yeah, involving Azzopardi, who should be that car in front of him. As here we go. Oh, yeah, okay, fairly slam dunk moment there, unfortunately, for Terry. As,
looks like he's going to redress it,
Terry,
though.
he's just gone off with Aaron Bryan on lap 16. Okay, yes, redress is there. And I presume we've jumped forward to this lap 16.
Yes.
Yeah, watch for the exit after the hairpin, and Aaron Bryan involved somehow, who's all the way out of shot. Oh. Locks it up, runs it off the road, and then he's gassed it up on the Astro and turf. And then he comes across the nose of Bryan and dumps him in the tyre bundle on the run to Siberia. Mechanical black flag for Bryan as well in the process. So that's going to suck a bit, to put it mildly. As Edward Rollo's hit the pit lane as well here. Apparently, finally, which it doesn't add up. Couldn't have made it. Oh, 17 laps, pardon me. That's like on the absolute limit. As Jace Douglas is just going for a bit of a slip and slide on the run to Siberia. What's happened to the 995 car? He's gone by himself. Gassed it up and lost control of it. And done a bit of lawn mowing for the grounds teams here.
And just to answer the boys in the comments. Sorry, Dan. Yeah, so the redress doesn't necessarily completely clear the penalty. It may just reduce the penalty duration. So you might go from a 15 to a 10 or a 10 to a 5 or something, depending on how severe race control defines the incident.
Yeah, indeed. That is very much something I can agree with. There's a decision that, yeah, a redress can't always nullify a penalty. It may be a case of when the action is still bad enough that it may warrant, yes, it still may warrant a penalty in some fashion. Now, as an interesting aside, we have someone already in the green room, someone who's not driving right now, when they normally would be here on a Wednesday night. Now, current and still ongoing elite split champion Sam Blacklock is sitting in the green room. Do we drag him in now mid-race, Mr. Schmicky, and see what he has to say for himself, or will we save that one for post-race? He's just getting in early.
We can have a quick chat to him whilst we go, and maybe leave the big championship-related stuff to the end of the race. But if he wants to jump in and have a chat whilst we watch the end of this race, we can.
All right, let's see if he's paying attention to his Discord right now, because he's been in there for a couple of minutes, and we'll pull him into the box. We're also watching this battle here between Sam Cullen, Wayne Sheedy, and Dane Snadden. Indeed, he is paying attention. Welcome, Sam Blacklock, back to the commentary booth. Something we don't normally get to do with you during a race, given you're currently not on track, unfortunately, with us tonight.
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, unfortunately in the middle of moving house, so I got Tyson Broad with me here as well, so we're just packing up the sim and getting ready to move it to the new place. So yeah, exciting.
A side by side between Dane Snadden and Wade Sheedy through turns 1 and 2 is going to still be in the hands of Wade Sheedy here, folks, as we continue with lap 19 of this race. And there you go. Sam's got another excuse to add to the pie of all the things going on for him here. But we'll hopefully get you back in a little bit later post-race. We can talk more about it, but I've been given instructions apparently not to blab on about the championship in full. But despite the fact you're not able to race tonight, Sam, able to get enough points on the board this season to have the championship sorted out before the racing got underway here tonight. As Snadden inside of Sheedy at Siberia, going to go side by side on the run of the Hayshed to see that pass eventually done, with Sheedy yielding on the track there. But we'll talk more about it afterwards, Sam. But how are you feeling about that one there, being able to wrap that one up a week early?
Yeah, it's obviously nice knowing there's a little bit less pressure. Yeah, as much as I wanted to race tonight, yeah, just wanted to get on with the move, and yeah, it was nice. I had that sort of flexibility to be able to do that.
Well, hopefully in that case, yeah, we'll hear from you a little bit later. We can talk more in detail, and I don't have to mind my words all too much. But got also here tonight real quick, yeah, Will Buchanan holding off against James Scott at this stage, with James making a bit of a special appearance, it seems, tonight. That's sort of a case of what could have been if you'd known that kind of a driver like James would be an appearance here this week to maybe add something a little bit extra that you haven't had this season when it comes to new drivers in the series and the competition that comes with.
Yeah, obviously it would have been great to have banged doors with my my Pro Invitational co-driver. But yeah, I saw he was having a good scrap there with Brad in the second race. So yeah, a bit of a shame I missed out on that, but hopefully a bit more of it next season.
All right, well, I think that's all I've got for you now, unless there's any insights from the race that you've noticed that we've missed out on so far tonight, Sam, and hopefully we can talk to you a little bit more once the checkered flag flies here in 3 minutes' time, and we can talk more about the season and the championship that has been for you.
Yeah, no, nothing I haven't, I've seen that you guys haven't. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys a bit later.
Thank you very much for joining us here as we start lap 21 of our final race of the season here for the Trophi.AI Supercar Series. And it looks like, Matt, James Scott is starting to mount that attack once again here closing back up to the bumper of Will Buchanan, whilst there's a gap back to Ryan Jones to sort this one out here and get the feeling. Once again, James just showing us he's more than happy to bide his time, and I would say wait about 2 laps before we actually see a move for the race lead here.
Yep, I'm guessing he's just going to sit there and stalk him, and then on the last lap he will pounce and take the lead and the win. Though Will has put up an excellent fight so far.
Yeah, look, I don't want to minimize it. I just sort of, like, with the way we saw James just go straight past him on that that lap after the pit stop, it just made me wonder, like, so we know James got the pace. That's not too surprising. Fully thought he'd just walk away with it, but he chose to sort of drive it a bit different there. And there you go. Echoes of Ratu versus Scott from race number 2 as Will has to go defensive there through MG, but James doesn't actually push him on that one too much straight away, and instead he'll allow a better run through the corner for himself and try and sort that out later on in this stage. Interesting there, you can see Ryan Jones has the fastest valid lap of the race. It's a 33.1. Apologies, folks. I can't actually read the timing tower with the broadcast preview. And you can see there, though, 134.5, 134.4, 134.9, the current pace that they're doing. We're also inside of a minute in time. This is the final lap of the race, so here we go, folks. Watch out for the Miller corner to be James Scott's hunting ground, I think, as we saw in the second sprint of the night. He's actually a little far back, though. A bit of a twitch off of the Southern Loop corner. He's going to have to come from a fair way back. Does Buchanan defend? He's middle of the road. Is it enough to cover off the lead here from James Scott? It is. All right, we're down to just Lukey Heights and MG, unless Siberia is an option for James here as we get halfway into this final lap of the race. And no, there will be no move here for the lead just yet. Will Buchanan has now, I think, just one genuine overtaking chance he's got to defend, and he might just be able to say he can cap off the night with a pole, a win, and then a second win at the end of the night. But up through Lukey Heights for the final time here for your top 2 drivers. Scott is within that margin of nothing there. And there we go, defensive from Buchanan. Scott doesn't have the over-under in position to make this one work just yet, but you can see he drives it out narrow. You're going to look for the crisscross potentially here. We're going to see a little bit of execution. As there you go, flicks to the inside for the final turn, but he can't get the drive through the corner there. Experimentation perhaps from James Scott, but nevertheless, a composed and committed drive. Will Buchanan, as I said, pole and lights the flag in race 1. He will hold off James Scott for the win in race number 2. Ryan Jones will round the podium here, and the elite split podium as well to boot, as we wait for the remaining drivers to cross line. 16 seconds back to Blake Fitz in 4th place. The scrapping has been fierce here tonight, and it will be Fitz, Jake Slade, and Johnny Baddock makes it a sweep of the dev class here tonight with a P6 outright for him. Top 10 going to be rounded out by Sam Cohen, Dane Snedden, Brad Ratu, though time penalty will shove him back, meaning it'll be both Wade Sheedy and Adam Labus who will get themselves into the 10. As a result, your podium in dev therefore also rounded out by Wade and Adam. And then you got yourselves Nathan Michael, Jace Douglas, Andy Barber, sorry. Critically there, black flag for Robbie Bradbury. Incident points, I believe, to wrap things up there tonight. It means he'll be shunted down the order officially on the results tab afterwards. As we now watch for the final drivers to take the flag. As you can see, unfortunately, quite a few drivers finishing not on the lead lap, and we'll have to finish, I think, 21 cars back to Tristan Koch as the last car to finish this race, as we await that 550 to round the last 2 turns and join us here on the start-finish stretch. And with Tristan across the line, the results are official. It's time to burn down the rubber, as was the suggestion from Greg Heaney. As, don't get up and over the mound on the inside of Siberia, Wilt. That'll certainly not be ideal for yourself there tonight. But yeah, you can walk away. Pole position, lights the flag in race 1. and holding off James Scott for the win in race number 3 here tonight. Gets a bit of skid on to finish his night off here. And the season that has been punctuated by great results here, and we look forward to seeing, well, hopefully having more from him, pardon me, in seasons to come, and what that might mean. Whilst he doesn't, Matt, have any round wins to his name, second place for the round at Detroit back at round 4 of the season, another second place back at Snetterton 2 weeks ago, and third place at Long Beach as well. And unfortunately for him, 2 do not races already in the season, so his drop was 0 points. Sam Blacklock actually going to get back some points from a do not race here tonight. And funnily enough, that's 57 points, which counted as second place for a round. Which you might, I guess, consider interesting with the way the points systems work here tonight. Well, if we can, Matt, let's bring up the race results here on screen and in full picture for you all to go through them here. And then we can get into the interviews with those who are joining us here tonight, in addition to Sam Blacklock. So there's your feature race results. There we go. Feature race results, we'll look at everyone here, of course, in full. Don't forget that, well, first up, the points in this third race are doubled, and second, of course, we give out the points by class. So Buchanan obviously will walk away with 60 points in this third and final race tonight. James Scott most certainly earns himself a second place and an elite split notion there ahead of Ryan Jones. Should he ever come back? And then Blake Fitz, Jake Slade going to round out the top 5 on the road, but with a sum total of just 10 seconds of post-race penalties, pardon me, for Blake Fitz. He will be pushed back behind Wade Sheedy. And that's how far his penalties will take him back here tonight. Johnny Bannack, as I said, the undisputed winner of the Dev Split, it seems, from lights to flag across all 3 races tonight, I should say. For him, was 6th on the road. Sam Cullen, Dane Snadden, Brad Rattu, and Wade Sheedy. Your top 10 on the road. As we said, bump Fitz down behind Sheedy. And we also need to pull Brad Rattu out of the order and drop him 10 seconds down the road, which puts him behind Nathan Michael there by results. So sort of do a bit of the mental arithmetic, shuffle people around. The official driver who will finish in 10th place, therefore, actually is Nathan Michael, because he'll be bumped up the 2 spots to P10 as a result. Chase Douglas, therefore, one of the first drivers outside the 10, alongside Andy Barber, Daniel Cheney, Mitch Wood, Dale Sharp, Travis Azzopardi, Greg Heaney, and Robbie Bradbury around 20. Only cars there, 159 and 3. No, neither of them are in the top 20, so their penalties shuffle things later on down the order. The last couple of drivers to finish the third and final race here tonight were Christian Koch, the last car on the lead lap in the 5.50. Terry Marsh falling a lap behind in the process of his race. He also had a couple of penalties to his name, but that doesn't really make up much of a difference because the next car was Edward Rollo, I think, retiring early there, 5 laps down, and Aaron Bryan 6 laps down for him. And then our very early retirees and non-starters in the form of Josh Fitt, Oscar Haynes, Tom Donohoe, Trent Allen, and then Martin Lipsky, Dylan Walker. Not starting with Craig Bond, James Hardy, no show at all tonight, and Thomas Cole in race control. That rounds out the field of drivers who took to the track here tonight, here this week in the Trophi.AI Supercar Series. And we can bring a few of them in for a bit of a chat here tonight. I think we'll start with the man who picked up 2 race wins and a pole position in the elite split. And that, of course, will be Will Buchanan. And you've already dragged him in. And make sure Will gets his push to talk unmuted in that case, and we can get the ball boiling with him tonight and say congratulations on pretty strong results here tonight. The only one that you could count as a blemish, as it were, was the fact you in the second race only went from 8th place to 5th. Otherwise, that's a pretty good night all around. As as we'll see if we've still got Will here at all and whether he's got that push to talk set up and working for him there. You might have to try and come back to Will in that case. We'll see if he can get that fixed up in a moment. We've got Johnny Bannock here in the channel as well. We might be able to speak to him in the meantime whilst Will tries sorting things out there. Johnny, have you got us and have we got you?
Yes, you do. I'm actually prepared this time, unlike someone else.
Nothing like a good old drive-by to get things started here. Well, congratulations to you as well, mate. You walk away from this one tonight having led the dev split into this race, and then very comfortably, you're going to walk away with the win here tonight for the round, and therefore also championship. Pretty much it felt like you looked untouchable compared to the drivers you're racing in class tonight. But how did it feel out there on track?
The track temps were insane, making the cars borderline undrivable at times, but the team was able to get a setup together that was able to deal with the conditions, but overall it wasn't too bad. Just had to look after the tyres, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, we did notice that qualifying conditions, whilst we weren't we weren't bringing that coverage on the screen, we did note that they were basically the same, if not only slightly better than that race 3 state. But what was it like? I guess race 1 and 2 were a little more favourable for tyre temp. How much did that then change to the way you went about running that race, or did it change how you ran the race, if at all?
My approach across all 3 races was pretty much the same tonight. Was just to try and qualify ahead of everyone that I had to be ahead of, and just try and maintain my position and stay out of trouble. That was really the goal for me. Like I had a bit of a lead coming into the round, and just wanted to maintain it and not take any risks.
Yeah, you certainly ticked that box off very nicely indeed. Yeah, just to recap your race tonight by raw results, which don't account for any penalties other drivers picked up tonight. Started the race 1 in 9th. You finished at 10th. That meant you stayed in 10th for the start of race 2. You worked your way up to 8th for that one, and then the invert pushed you a little bit forward to P5. Start the 3rd and final race, and you still finished up there in P6. So for tonight, that very much speaks to a solid, consistent run for you there. That works out very nicely indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it did feel pretty good tonight, but yeah, again, it was just also just trying to not get ahead of myself. That was my biggest thing going into this race. I knew other people around me didn't have much to lose. I did get a bit scared around one of the Whiskey Business racing cars, but luckily he was kind to me.
Well, it's been I think a really strong back half of the season for you. I honestly expect now, based on that string of results, we'll probably see you pushed up into the elite split based on the pace we've seen from you this season. Is that something I hope you're looking forward to, if that challenge does indeed get thrown your way after the season you've had here for this part of the year?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to see how I measure up against the elite guys. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't get moved up to elite, but I assume it was probably because it was pretty late in the season when my form started to come on. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge next season if I do participate. So hopefully I do, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think you got just, as you said, your pace just ticked up at the right moment where Adam locked the classes down and didn't move everyone around, so that the battles in class were somewhat set. So I think, yes, by virtue of the timing, that worked out pretty well for you there as a result.
Yeah, it did, but trust me, it does sound a bit sus when you say it, but genuinely, just pretty much my time at Revolutionary Racing really did help me out a lot. I did learn quite a bit, especially from the boys of Leith and Will Buchanan. They really did take me under their wing and really did help me out, particularly tonight around Phillip Island, which I'll be honest, I've never driven before in any game or any sim, so I did have a bit of a hill to climb, and they were very much willing to help me out, so thank you to them.
Oh yes, great to hear, and it does mean, of course, that also is a well and truly a comfortable class championship wrap up for you there, Johnny. So double success here at the island for you tonight. The floor is all yours here if you wanted to say a few things, any shout outs you wanted to give to anyone else you haven't mentioned yet already.
I'll try and keep it short, but most importantly, I just want to say thank you to Brooksy, to Leith, to all the boys at RER for taking me under their wing and taking a bit of a gamble. I hope I paid them back. And really just thank you to all of our sponsors. I actually just recently picked up a pair of Sudspeed gloves in the Black Friday sale, and they're mint as. And yeah, just thank you to AITT, thank you to all of our sponsors for letting us go racing and staying as competitive as we do. So thank you very much.
There we are, round winner once again in the dev split, and as a result, you're a comfortable series champion here in the dev split. Johnny Banach, thank you very much for joining us here tonight to cap off the season 2025D here at the GSRC. Have yourself a good evening, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you back out in next season with a big old elite next to your name.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, boys, for the commentary. Thanks for Race Control for showing up every week, and yeah, thank you to everyone. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you joining us as well here tonight. And with that, we'll now see if we can get our hands on Will Buchanan next, and see if things have changed since we last tried talking to you, Will.
Yeah, you got me?
There we go. There we got him. All right. Good to have you on here, mate. And congratulations on tonight. As I was just saying at the start, and I'll kick things off, lights the flag in race 1, able to get back up to the top in race 2. The only thing we could call a blemish on the night's results were a slightly conservative 8th to 5th with the invert in race 3, in the middle race, sorry, of that. And it was 8th to 1st in the third and final race there, and able to fend off James Scott for that one. But Johnny there mentioned with the way track temps were fluctuating a lot, made it a bit of a handful at points. I presume you would have felt the same in some of the warmer sessions like qualifying in race 3 as well?
Yeah, the track was bloody hot, to tell you that much. Yeah, struggled a bit towards the end of the stints, especially turn 4, just the car does not want to pull up at all. But I mean, the first race was pretty good. I managed the tyres pretty well, and I was able to drive away a bit. But yeah, no, the second and the third race were struggling big time.
Yeah, and obviously we throw in the inverts too, and we've got to worry about drivers who are trying to come through the field, drivers who are trying to hold a position perhaps that they've got off of the invert in some respects. Obviously we've seen that racing before this season. In fact, mind you, the last time this particular format, pardon me, this is the first time we've had a super sprint for this particular season of gents here in the Supercar series. So only other time we've had sprint racing, we had the madness of Snetterton and the weather that came with that. But you then have to go back to things like Long Beach and Belle Isle, where they actually have multi-race rounds. So the one and only time we've seen this super sprint, this triple format come out this season. What was that sort of like for you in terms of like you having to deal with those multiple inverts and the reshuffling of the grid?
Yeah, look, I'm not the biggest fan. Well, I've struggled with sprint races, so yeah, I'm more of a fan of the longer races. Gives me time to warm up a bit, and pit strategy comes into it a bit more. I didn't mind this super sprint. The second race was a bit of a struggle because obviously that top 10 is pretty fast. So starting from 7th or 6th, I don't know. I started that second race, but it was going to be tough to overtake. Phillip Island's tough enough as it is to overtake there, so I just had to pull my time and just settle for 5th.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there was some great racing you had up and down the field for yourself and the others around you at the end of the day. So it doesn't really make that big of a difference to the grand scheme of things, I would suggest. And yeah, it still means I believe you walk away the round winner from this one tonight. Looking at things here. Ooh, actually, I say that Ryan Jones might be able to sneak it from you because he had a slightly more consistent round this week with 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd on the race results.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. Don't sell me short, Gavin.
Yeah. I'll get to you, Ryan. Pipe down. You can clap back at Darren later as well as me. But fair enough. Yes, penalties and all that fun stuff have to be accounted for too. But yeah, just coming back to you, Will, to wrap things up. That means you finished the season whilst you have to settle for second in the series championship this time around, but very much made your mark early on. It's been great to watch the competition, both your race pace and your qualifying paces. You've given Sam Blacklock a good run for his money, and hopefully we get a chance to see you out there on track again to see what challenge you can bring next time out.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointed about last week with the wheelbase breaking on me, so I couldn't try and bring the championship to this final round. Give Sam at least a little bit to fight for, but no doubt, knowing his pace, he probably would have drove off into the distance. But yeah, it would have been good to give it a little bit of a fight. But very happy with the result. P2 and championship's nothing to be sad about. Yeah, just thank you to all the boys at RER for cheering me on and giving me all the support to get out on track each week.
I'm glad to hear it, and good to see you out on track, and yeah, look forward to seeing what comes next. And there was a question about team points. I will confirm that shortly, folks, but Adam is actually actively getting those points updated for us, so I will just let that happen before I talk any numbers around final points for drivers and teams. So stick with us as long as you can, and I will hopefully get those numbers out for you as soon as possible. But thank you very much for joining us here, Will. Congratulations once again on the result here tonight. And yes, I believe by the looks of things it was second for the round, second for the championship, and all pretty good by the scheme of things. And anyone else you'd like to thank or give shout outs to?
Just the team again. Always supporting me to get out on track, and obviously just the sponsors. All the work behind the scenes is incredible, and we can't thank them enough.
Indeed, glad to hear it. Thank you very much for joining us here, Will. Great to speak with you, and enjoy the break, and hopefully, yeah, we'll see you ready and raring to go next season when the Gents kick off again in 2026.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us. And Matt, we'll bring Ryan into the conversation now. And yes, okay, fine. I was just reading the results tab. I do apologise that I don't have the time to always remember time penalties. So yes, a second, and a third is how your night has gone by the results tab, which by the math should also mean you get to claim a round win, I believe. Yeah, it might be close though, because I've got to double check. Bonuses might also actually, yeah, I think bonuses might steal that away from you here, because Adam is in the middle of doing points. Actually, Will might have snatched that round. It's also the double points for race 3. Alas.
Anyway,
a good night for you tonight, on the grand scheme of things. I hope you might have missed Darren give you a bit of a drive-by after the TransAms in the interview. So
I heard.
You heard, so great. You get a chance to give a free shot back at him here tonight. But are you bored of Phillip yet? Because that's now a lot of laps for you on one night.
Yeah. I tell you, I was having trouble for the first 2 races tonight, trying to unlearn the habits I picked up in the late model around this place. It's the first time I've driven the Supercar in about a month as well. So yeah. I don't know, I like Phillip Island, so I wasn't complaining too much. It's a fun track. I eventually found the good setup we have for this place as well in Supercar for race 3, which helps. Yeah, it's good fun. It's a good place to go racing.
Well, everyone else we've spoken to tonight was sort of not particularly keen on the temperatures you guys had to experience out there tonight. Are you going to make it 3 from 3, who was not a fan of the 50 degrees Celsius track temperature we experienced there during the 3rd and final race?
Well, I actually felt most comfortable in the final race, so I don't know what that says about my driving. But felt like I was driving a sprint car for the first 2 races, and race 3 was planted after the setup change. So yeah, no, I don't like hot temps, but it felt alright tonight. Felt like a bit of a pinball in the opening few laps, though. Holy, there's a bit going on.
Well, you could always, I guess, yeah, we could argue it's the setup change that's done it for you. And yes, it was definitely a little chaotic, just trying to keep tabs on everything that was happening out there, and you had your work cut out for it in the process. So what was sort of, I guess, the things that worked for you in terms of surviving, given, we're talking about the fields being ripped around, you had to start 10th in that 3rd and final race, probably the most chaotic of the options. you got drivers like James Scott making a special appearance tonight to essentially make some madness of it, and like also the fact he had to start from the rear of the grid in race 1 and proceeded to try and walk his way through the field, which you didn't quite get to experience, but you got that chance, I guess, in race 3 when he was behind you to start that one.
Yeah, I balked a little bit when I saw him 3 spots behind me 4 laps to go in race 1, considering he started last. I had nothing for him in anyone really, and well, him and Brad battling in that first race. They were blocking, or the second race, they were blocking and white line, and I still couldn't catch him. In race 3, I think I was pretty even on pace with James and Will, but I sort of got shoved off the road by Will and a couple other people on 1 lap early on in that last one. It dropped me a couple seconds, and fortunately I was the same pace, not quicker, so I just sort of stayed 2 seconds behind him for the rest of the race. Oh, and I threw myself off the road trying to pass Oscar Haynes. That was actually pretty funny.
Ah, there we go. That's certainly a way to go about it. Well, I was going to say, looking at the season here for you real quick, it's been unfortunately more did-not races than actual races attended this season. Is that something you might try and change when this all kicks off again next year, or is it going to be a case of fitting in and around other things happening, be it real world or virtual motorsport for you?
Yeah, it was just a bit going on for me at the end of the year. Obviously, I would do a lot more of these races if I could. Try and get more Supercar laps under my belt. It just depends what the calendar looks like next year in terms of where I'm at, when I'm home, when I'm not home. 4-day events tend to rule me out for any Wednesday night activities. And obviously, Logitech. I don't think I'll be a part of that next season. Yeah, I'd like to do more of this. I'd like to actually build a full championship in one of these series. I've not actually managed to win a single race yet, which is starting to annoy me. I've got quite a lot of podiums racking up. So go and get a race win, try and put together a championship with Top Dasso winning them all, because he's racked up quite a few, I think, which is a bit unfair for everyone else, I think.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to try and stop him. Put a foot forward and see what you can do about that. And assert dominance within DPR might also be handy. But
yeah,
I'm gonna have to
TransAm race.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave it up to you to do that rather than try and do something about that from the outside. So thank you for joining us tonight, Ryan. And whilst the points table is currently actually in a bit of flux as Adam continues to edit things, last I saw you were being scored as 2nd for the round. So tentative 2nd, maybe 1st. Actually, I think it just really depends on how the bonus points fall, or whether it's the race 3 result being 3rd for that one specifically might actually knock you down the spot compared to Will. But nevertheless, that's podiums pretty much all night for you. Congrats. Hopefully we'll see more of it next year. Anyone else you want to give thanks to, or drive by, I guess? Chance. Also probably worthwhile.
Yeah, just the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I sort of let Lobo have one tonight in his swan song for the championship. He was going to miss out on the overall, so with Dasso at the pub, we figured it was probably time to give Lobo a race win. James, and I think I had a good little battle with James for a lap before I threw myself off trying to pass old mate. Everyone for keeping it relatively clean. You for broadcasting as always, Yeoman. I can't believe you're not sick of this yet. You do enough of these. Yeah, everyone at GSRC put on a good league and good place to go racing. It's fun to rock up and try and figure it out in the race and have some fun and no pressure. And yeah, it's good. I like it here.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I mean, this is the time of the week where I've been convinced to yap and rather than press the buttons. So it's a bit of a retraining, I guess you could call it, after all the time I spend usually not talking and just doing the button pushing. It's also quite the vocal workout, so you know, it's a good fun test once again to get back into that sense. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for the racing, and it's a happy Christmas and holidays. And by the sounds of it, look forward to seeing if it works out for you to come back and do some more next season then.
All right, see ya. Thanks, boys.
And then there were two, and before I get to Greg Heaney, I might just quickly bring Sam Blacklock back in one last time to finish things up, as he's been waiting since the end of the race, and we can talk more about the championship as a whole, and basically say, yes, congratulations, Sam, despite the absence tonight, and also the absence last week, giving you a bit of a jet setter the last little bit here. You walk away from the season, I'm seeing 4 round wins, 3 seconds and a third. You actually didn't leave the round podium when you were in attendance this season, and as a result, you've swept the year 2025 with the GSRC in the Supercars Elite class. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, wow. What a year it's been. You know, from not wanting to drive this car to getting amongst it, and yeah, it's just been awesome, you know, not just racing, but also seeing the progression of others, teammates. But yeah, obviously special mention to Will Buchanan, who I've raced, you know, I'm pretty sure since season 1 this year. And yeah, obviously tonight he was mega. So yeah, that's awesome to see. And yeah, looking forward to more of it next year.
Well, good to hear. That sounds like next year is indeed on the cards in that case. And I guess in that sense, yeah, talk about this as progression for you of sort of being out of the car and getting this has been a way to get back into the car, as well as having to lift your game a little bit when it comes to the race results. I guess preparation obviously will vary from round to round depending on the interest and such. But has it been a case of you've felt the need to already really ramp things up a bit for this season? And will that be something you probably need to keep on doing, or is it still one of those things that might be in flux perhaps once we see where we land to start the new season off next year?
Well, you know, it's an ever-changing game of progression, and I think, you know, all season, well, all year really, you know, I've slowly ramped up and gotten better, but so has everyone around me. So, you know, sure, maybe I need to do a bit more work next season, but depending on other commitments, you know, I'm not sure I'll be in the likes of hunting for a championship, but, you know, when I am on track, I'll still want to be competing for wins and having some good battles.
Yeah, that's certainly always the game here. We've got to try and get some more of our boys out there to maybe give you some support, it seems, because looking at some of the points numbers for Brad Rattu, well, that also kind of is entirely into the fact he hasn't raced in several weeks, or Tyson Broad, perhaps, if he was going to actually be available and also do some driving, potentially. So a fair few people to perhaps maybe, you said, get some more wheels on deck, perhaps, from our squad at the very least. But nevertheless, based on the fact that you've now gone 4 seasons in a row here with the club at the GSRC, what is that? Is there any kind of goal setting you then want to do for next year with this, or is it going to be like where do we take it from here if after going 4 in a row? I guess is the main question.
Yeah, probably maybe trying some different stuff, depending on what cars and stuff are using next season. Maybe trying something on a different night of the week, maybe, and yeah, just seeing how that pans out. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's any goals really. Looking into, I guess, 26A. Just yeah, have some good racing and. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, nice to hear that it's a vague, open-ended, and therefore not much of anything I can work with answer to my question that we've got there to go off of that point. And I guess, yeah, whilst you are now on the committee and joining the club in that capacity, is there any insight you can give the viewers and us folks here at home that are not committee members? Or I'm the only non-committee member in the comms box right now. It's a good thing, bad thing, I'm not entirely sure. Since you're talking about seeing what comes next year, is that a case of not even you committee members can say just yet what's happening, because that's still in planning?
No special favours for you, Dan. I think you used them all up when I saw you in Melbourne. So I'll leave that to someone else.
Special favours,
yeah,
nice.
I think.
See you twice for dinner, and he calls it special favours. Cheers.
Hey, it was romantic, man. I enjoyed it.
God damn it, he always wins. I'd say I hate you, Sam, but that's probably a lie. But on that note, thank you for joining us here tonight, even if you couldn't be on track. Congrats again for the season that has been. We look forward to seeing what next year, therefore, brings. And hopefully you continue to bring your A game, because I certainly look forward to seeing who can bring theirs to challenge you. And any final thanks and shout-outs you want to give before we let you go here tonight?
Yeah, just a big shout out to Revolution Racewear and iLiveries for their support of our team. And yeah, obviously a big shout out to my teammates, I guess. Tyson's here with me, he's laughing in the background. So yeah, big thanks to them. And yeah, obviously a big thanks to you guys that do the broadcast, and Thomas, that's basically been, I think, race control for every race this season. So yeah, big thanks to everyone involved that makes the series happen and gives us a fun place to race.
Well, thank you very much, Sam Blacklock, for all of that there. And yeah, you almost got it right. Revolution race gear, not race wear, but we'll take it. One day, we might be able to get everyone on the team to remember at least those two correctly, and we'll move on. But
sorry, Dad.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, thank you, son. Have a good night, Tyson. Thanks for being there for moral support, I guess. Get back on the sim sometime, and we'll hopefully see you boys around next season in that case.
Yeah, not all of us can have no life, Dan. Oh dear. Thanks, Dan.
You say that, and I've literally been working. But all right, copy. Thanks for that, Tyson. Thank you, boys.
How are you doing?
Now,
So yeah, thank you.
Scram, I've got Greg King to talk to, and don't want to keep him waiting any longer than he needs to be. And we'll bring him in now, and to wrap up the season, both from, I guess, your driving perspective, Greg, as well as organising things for us here in the Trophi.AI Supercar Series on a Wednesday night. The numbers, I guess, looking at them here real quick, Greg, maybe don't tell the whole story, I hope, but you made it after sort of, yeah, difficult wet conditions to sort of difficult hot conditions this week, from what we've heard from everyone else. I guess, can we make it 4 from 4 and say that, yeah, pretty rough out there at points when it warmed up?
Oh, look, it was slippery, but it was dry. So, I mean, look, you can't please everybody. Some people probably found it a little bit trickier than others. I was somewhat okay. I mean, at some points it did feel like the back of the car wanted to kill me, but I was happy to get it home in a relatively straight condition at the end of that. And yeah, I mean, after I think I had my nose chopped off by one of your guys off the start of race 1, but so I had to take avoiding action, so I ended up in the grass at race 1. So I was on the back foot from the get-go, but no, look, it was an all right way to finish off the season for myself. Not ideally where I'd want to have been on track, but these things happen. And it was a decent showing from all comers tonight, to be honest, especially some of the new guys that showed up. James Scott certainly has a turn of pace to make it from basically last to almost first, I think. I think it was only the pit stop, from what I can gather, that that got Will back out in front, from what I could gather. And yeah, so I'm happy with the way everything turned out.
And I have to say that from our perspective, it's definitely something worth, yeah, everything turned out pretty dang well from our perspective too. I think Thomas might have, there was some moments where he felt like it was a bit of madness for him to have to deal with and observe. And we definitely saw a couple of moves that were maybe a little suboptimal in their execution, and maybe the ambition didn't quite fit the goal either, and the objective there that played out. But moving on from all that, I guess that's a bit of it's really is an aside at this point. when we think about the season on the whole, over the last 10 weeks, we've also gone to quite a mix of different circuits when it comes to tracks that these cars are known for. And actually, I say that most of the tracks I would say this season were pretty well known for racing this car. Add in something like Algarve early on in the season, which is a bit of an unknown, and then also Mexico City being obviously brand new to iRacing and a chance to explore something there early off the bat. Where do we think, season-wise, that you could probably argue there were highs and if there were highs and lows, if you were to scale it, sort of like on that sense?
Oh, I'd definitely say on more of the tracks that would be known for having the supercars on them. I mean, I was a little bit happier on the shorter tracks, but no, look, as a whole, I was just happy that the way the season did turn out. Yeah, I know there was a couple of weeks there where there were a few diminished numbers, but I think that could well have been because of other series running at the same time that may have crossed paths with ours. But no, I think as a whole it was pretty good. I don't think there was very much that I would class as a down period through the whole season. So
Yeah, I think it's a case of like, well, we can't please everyone, and there is the small problem of what is currently the most competitive series in the country being also on a Wednesday night, sucking drivers and attention away from it on the weeks where it clashes. But thankfully, that's not going to be every week, thanks to the fact, of course, that that can only happen every couple of weeks here and there, which obviously isn't too big of a deal versus a weekly series. And I guess if you plan around it a little bit, you can also maybe minimize the impact at some points. But at the end of the day, also, I guess we're trying to also keep it somewhat in line with the official schedule, so there's a bit of access to casters. Or is that going to be something that maybe you keep going a bit more unique and independent, potentially at points?
Oh, well, I mean, this season just gone, a fair chunk of it was in line with the officials. I think there was only maybe 3 tracks I changed. But I can tell you now, I've no doubt that officials are going to be including Adelaide next season officially. So it's definitely going to be on the cards for us. See if we can't mimic some of the jumps at the centre chicane, and see if it actually pings us for an off track or a slowdown. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I just haven't decided if I would actually hold that at the start of the season or if I would do it at the end. I know Zach would be very, very keen, if anybody has actually watched the last couple of broadcasts that Zach's been on, of trying to plant a seed to have the entirety of week 1, season 1, 26 held at Adelaide. I think by the end of it, we'd probably all be bored of Adelaide, and then we'd have to shelve it for 3 months or 4 months until we get to it again. But no, look, it'll definitely be on the cards to run them in Adelaide. As to whether we do it as an enduro race or sprints, I haven't decided yet. But yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I've seen that as well myself with regards to where Adelaide is probably going to fit into the schedules, as well as other leagues as well. And yeah, the fact that we are now, goodness me, I think we are 1 week away from Adelaide releasing onto iRacing. It's already that close. So I get the feeling I'm going to be seeing a lot of servers up next week around this time, with a lot of these cars in particular probably being thrown at it. Maybe some F1 cars too. I guess we'll have to wait and see exactly how global Adelaide's appeal still is.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm just looking forward to seeing if they feed it into the GT3 category. It kind of fits, but not 100% sure. But it'll definitely be interesting to watch anybody that doesn't know the track go through turn 8. Because they'll probably end up in bits and pieces after it.
I guess, yeah, that may also, I mean, yeah, part of it comes down to the car as much as the track too, because I get the feeling, yeah, you've got those ones where it's like with the right car, you should be able to get through there fairly easy. But I guess that's also that's a whole can of worms there, is to still mess it up too. I guess even with a straightforward car. But yeah, I also hadn't heard Zach's thought of the Adelaide week, and indeed I think probably best to taper that out slightly. Might be for the best. Zach, if you watch this back afterwards, as much as an Adelaide week has potential when it's one layout, one track, we've still got how many? We've still got 4 days of broadcasting to get through here at the GSRC at least. So, yeah, I can see that possibly being an issue, people. But yeah, I guess on that note, looking beyond Adelaide and looking into next season, are we going to say? I guess it's a case of there's not much that really will look to change or needs to change, or is there anything you might try and cook up for us here at the GSRC in terms of finding something to tweak or to introduce for the Supercar series, or is it a case of we've got a formula here that's working, let's not bend it or break it by doing too much to it?
Oh, we've got a formula that's working. I've yet to decide what is potentially happening with the next season. I'd like to see what tracks fall into the official list first before I get too carried away with it, and yeah, then we'll see what happens from there. But in the meantime, I've got Porsches tomorrow night, which I got to focus on, and then a whole bunch of livery work as we're doing a changeover of colour scheme and sponsors and stuff on the team. So yeah, I've got a mountain of cars to get through before the start of next season.
Yep, sounds like, yeah, busy times then indeed for. It's a good time to do it, I guess, with with off season for. And in theory, well, in theory, holidays means there's time, but I guess also that in theory means also things like families and such for those who have them should also probably get a bit of extra time in as well, and everything that goes with that. But look, Greg, I mean, the series doesn't happen without you taking the charge here on a Wednesday night and preparing it for everyone on a Wednesday night. So I guess on the driver's behalf, thank you for continuing to be, I guess, the category manager, to use the real world terminology, as it were, for us here on a Wednesday night with the Trophi.AI Supercar Series. And yeah, good to see you getting out and still racing as well, and being part of the action. So is there anyone else you'd like to give thanks to or shout out here from the comms box to wrap things up?
Oh, I'd like more to thank the GSRC and obviously the guys and you guys in the broadcast booth, and thanks for the rest of the grid for putting up with the weather choices I've thrown at them to have a crack at driving for the entirety of the season. So looking forward to seeing everybody coming back next season to see what we can have.
Well, great to hear it, Greg, and yeah, thank you for joining us here once again to cap off the night and bring the interviews here from the Supercars to a close.
No worries. Well, again, thank you, Dan, and I'll catch you boys later.
And thanks to the guys who have been joining us here in the chat. I'll just clarify that, yeah, no, we aren't changing liveries at all. We're dropping that paint job costs far too much to ditch after a single year, and also we like it far too much. So yeah, expect that car to stay around as is for the most part, barring anything happening with the logos on the car. I can't confirm or deny where that's at, because actually, funnily enough, it's not me that's primarily been responsible for asking questions of people and looking for answers. But Matt, with that all said and done, that brings the season to a conclusion. It looks like Adam has had a chance to finally get the points all sorted, because there was a question about teams as well, but I'll quickly rattle off our top 5 for both the Elite and Devs. So yeah, with everything plugged in now, I can confirm, yeah, so concluding the season on 546 points for the Elite class, Sam Blacklock will walk away as our 4-time back-to-back series champion, and with Will Buchanan finishing there second place on 471 points, and Robbie Bradbury going to also come home in 3rd place. The top 3 there unchanged, and in fact you got there on screen. So Dane Snadden up a spot to P4, Sam Cullen a good launch actually, up 4 spots to finish P5, Josh Fitt drops to P6. Blake Fitz late jump up to P7. +2 Lock and Capel and Darren Lobb not racing tonight, meaning they drop 2 spots each, 8th and 9th respectively. And pardon me, there you go. Ryan Jones with the 3rd place actually for the round tonight. So how about that there? The points in race 3, I think, actually quite the kicker as it turns out, because of the fact that it was double. You actually have to settle for P3 tonight, mate. You're gonna have to try it again next time. James Scott actually gets 2nd for the round, as I said, with Buchanan earlier. Turns out he's your round winner there. In goal, 117 points. And yeah, a tie between Darren and Ryan for 9th place in this round. Do we actually have a way to like do a count back on? The count back will be the fact Darren has finished 2nd in one round, I guess, and 3rd in another. So that would probably be a suitable tiebreaker for purposes there. That is the top 10, and also you can see drivers are down at 20th. For the elite split, we have a total of, real quick, 46 drivers this season who have at least 1 point to their name, and it goes down to 5 drivers who at least started the race but didn't get points this season. So a total of 51 drivers in just the elite split alone, Matt, which is looking like some pretty healthy numbers. And if we may now turn our attention to the dev split for this season and confirm for you there, folks, another round win to make it, well, 3 in a row for Johnny Bannack, 5 total for the season, pardon me. It's just that one race at Mexico City where it didn't quite line up as neatly, but it's a comfortable round win for season win for Johnny as well. Adam Lavis holds on to 2nd place with a solid showing tonight, actually good enough for 3rd in class. For the round, Travis Asapati going to stay 3rd there as well on points. In fact, how's that? The top 9 of the devs do not move a spot here tonight. They're all pretty steady on the season. And it's only once you get to Mitch Wood, who gains 3 spots to climb into the class top 10 here tonight. And he's beat me to it. Real quick note there, we had 36 drivers scoring points in the dev split, 37th driver starting a race. And here we are for the team's points as requested earlier in the chat. As it happens, congratulations to Adam Lavis and Doug Sharp, who were paired up for Oz E-Races. They walk away with the highest number of points for these guys tonight, ahead of Nathan Michael and Greg Heaney, getting on the board for Whiskey Business as a team in the supercars this season. And Revolution E-Racing, when you pair up Johnny Bannack and Terry Marshall, impressively, and really speaks to, again, consistency, making a mark here, Matt, that our top 3 team pairings, as it were, for this season, all going the way of dev split pairings. Obviously, they are series regulars in many respects, which perhaps you can say helps with that whole situation, but nevertheless still beats out Will and Jake as an elite split pairing from RER on team points. Sam with a little bit of points contribution from Connor for my guys at Orbit Drop there. Robbie and Ryan, Pacific Esports. Unfortunately, we lost Ryan during the season here on Wednesday, which is a bit of a shame. Like Dane and Ryan for Whiskey Business there, and Travis and Andrew, another WBR pairing. It's a mix. Actually, no, they're now an all-dev pairing. Then you go Josh and Andrew scored together for Ed DPR, and finishing off the top 10 at least Southern Stars Esports, Andy Barber, Ryan Barber there, and to make it 10th place. And quickly scrolling down the list, we had a total again of 47 teams sort of assigned for the purposes of the team bragging rights, and a total of 50 teams noted as being on the lineup for this season. So numbers looking pretty strong there once again. As we heard there from Greg, things are still in motion for planning for what comes next after the Christmas break and the New Year break here on a Wednesday night at the very least for Gen3 Sim Racing Club. And here we are, the round results and the season results for our merch shop, GSRC.inc. TransAm series racing here early on the Wednesday night, and comfortable championship still the case for Andrew Dyson. Darren Lobb there with the round win will settle into P2 and unchanged for him as it stands anyways. Chris Henn just hangs on to P3, as it turns out. Very close to losing it to Dylan Walker there at the end of the day, but not quite the result that Dylan needed to overturn that one for him. Adam Funzo also awfully close there, not quite able to pip him though, and we'll have to settle for P5 in the class. Adam Lavis, Richard Brookfield 6 and 7, also unchanged. There you go then. Spot game for Joe Baldwin after a no-show from Angus Cook. 2 spots up for Guy Leach, ran out top 10 at the expense of Jackson Mahana and Brett Barker there tonight. And you can see there are at least 20 cars with points, and try and quickly get a read on how many drivers in total we ended up having for the Transams. I can scroll down and find us 68 drivers who scored at least 8 points this season as a driver. And then quickly for the teams, congratulations to ILEC Motorsports, Chris Henn, Adam Funzo. They walk away with the top points from the team's bragging rights this season, which actually doesn't quite have the right season at the top of the screen, but that's okay. Cook and Rehana will come home officially second on points there. And then DPR Racing for Andrew Dyson, Ryan Jones paired up together there, although when I think about it, maybe that should have been Dyson and Lobb, and that might have been a stronger points.
It's also not sorted correctly. I didn't sort it, so I just noticed that.
Yes, it is.
Dyson and Jones are actually second.
They are still second, so you know it doesn't really matter for DPR. At the end of the day, they still come home second in the points. Yeah, interestingly, it's like, yeah. Oh well, it happens. And yeah, 41 teams scoring points during this season as well, by the looks of things. So pretty solid showing there for the Transams, although what comes next on this opening Wednesday night slot will, I guess, be up in the air for the next little while, I guess, because we don't, that'll be up to you guys in the club committee to sort of plan that all out from here, I dare suggest. And with that, folks, I think it's time just about to end the show without one final shout and thanks to all of the club sponsors. Of course, I need to obviously thank not just, we'll start of course with the club sponsor for season 2025D here, Disruptive Labs, and of course also supporting our GT4 series and Road to Indy Next Level on Thursdays and Fridays respectively. Waste Options supporting Monday night racing with the Toyota 86s and the GT3 series. Trophi.AI continuing to support the Supercar series here on a Wednesday night. Pantech Industries, your naming rights sponsor of the Porsche Cup series on Thursday night, which of course you can catch the final races there tomorrow. Sprayton Non-Alcoholic Cider continuing to support the club despite not being naming rights this season. Of course, you can support the club directly with some merch and gear at merch.GSRC.inc. If you want to get something for yourself to have at home, and that's John Simpson at Flash Graphics for livery designs that you can run around with, and things like the Mountain Men and otherwise. His livery service that is available to get in touch with. If there's anything you want to get painted on the iRacing service. Well, that is it for a Wednesday night's worth of racing, but of course there is still 2 more nights of broadcasting to come this week. Start off with the 3rd and penultimate night being tomorrow night, Thursday night, and we are going to go racing at Le Mans for the 10th and final week of the Disruptive Labs GT4 Challenge. Joining up just like what we saw with the GT3s. Well, they raced there. We hope it's not necessarily a repeat, because from what little I did see, the weather may have been a bit chaotic, to put it mildly, with our GT3 field at the Circuit de la Sarre. 60-minute race, green flag at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Maybe I'll come and have a steer in that. I'll have to start at the rear of the field, but so be it. I've got the night off. If you have me, I'll be there, perhaps. And then also, following that, the big finale of the Pantech Industries Porsche Cup Interlagos is going to be our home Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache super sprint round there as well. So watch out for a similar kind of bit of racing as we saw here tonight, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. 9 p.m. green flag. Those times, of course, are Australian East Daylight Time. Adjust accordingly if you're not living in New South Wales, ACT, Victoria, or Tasmania. such as if your name is Zach Caben and you live in Queensland. Also, make sure to jump in at least 20 minutes earlier than that race start time for GT4 qualifying, and at least 15 minutes earlier than that start time for the Porsche Cup cars if you want to get involved in the racing tomorrow night. And then Friday night, of course, we don't broadcast the skip and slide series, but they're heading off to the mountain to kick off the night there, which is going to be an interesting combination with a lot of draft, but also the run over the top of the mountain could be interesting. And then the final race for Disruptive Labs Road to Indy Next Level with our Indy Next cars. Going to be a slightly longer race there, as you can see, but we aren't going to the Oval Indianapolis. It is going to be the road course at Indianapolis for a 60. Oh, yours says 60 laps, but I've got here 69 laps, which I think is rather nice. 95-minute time limit on the next level, the Indy Next cars on the Friday, and that'll kick off green flag at 8:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight. So make sure to jump in 10 minutes earlier than that for qualifying, folks. If you want to get involved in the Indy Next cars, unfortunately, I'm going to have to be a spectator from afar, thanks to work on a Friday night, which is a bit of a shame. It's been a bit of an interesting test, that car. I have had a chance to drive it. And of course, during that broadcast, Joe and Zach will get the chance to spin the wheel for our final attempt at the Mountain Men, and to see what exactly we come up with. It also apparently is going to be a slightly longer race than usual. Typically it's 32 laps. Apparently, according to this spreadsheet I'm seeing here, 50 laps of the mountain. So I hope it's in something fast, because otherwise it's going to be a very long race for those who hang around on a Saturday night for the more social scene of the club here, Matt. And unlike what we normally do, this is it. Just 5 more categories left to wrap up the season here with the GSRC, and then we all get ourselves a well, not long overdue. It's only been 10 weeks, please, but a welcome break here to wrap things up. And on that note, it's been great to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Apologies if my voice has sounded choppy at points, getting back into this whole spiel of commentary, and also having to. It's a different style to what I'm used to, because I'm very much used to a commentary pairing thing, whereas here it's about mostly running this show by myself, not to take it away from yourself, but also giving you the chance to focus on the production side of the show. And look, it's been great to work with you. Thank you very much for your contributions and for doing all of this, and for making these Wednesday night broadcasts possible for everyone watching along at home. And I hope everyone make sure they give you the shout that you deserve here, Matt, because yeah, as much as I do all the talk, I've done most of the talking, not all the talking. That's not even close to true. Yeah, the show doesn't happen without you there pressing buttons and clicking and making it all visible to me and everyone watching along with me.
Yeah, thank you, Dan, and thank you for showing up most of the weeks. I know you had other commitments. I worked to take care of a few weeks, but the weeks you have been good fun. And
yes, on that note, we look forward, hopefully, folks, after Christmas and holidays are done, we'll be looking forward to seeing the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club come back to racing. When that will be, I don't know just yet, so keep an eye out in the club Discord at the very least as for when season 2026A will kick off. There is, of course, also going to be the Australian Open Wheel Nationals as we continue to compete with the Sim Racing World and also now Formula Drivers League, SRW and FDL respectively. That is on Sunday the 14th of December. Track to be confirmed. It will be in the Super Formula Light once again. So if you've got another night spare for some final bit of broadcasting, keep an eye out for that next Sunday evening. Just a week and a half away from that one there, folks. And that'll be one last little scrap for our guys to get out and hopefully continue to show as a club we've got what it takes to take it to these other clubs that are looking to try and, I think, eventually one-up us, Matt, but we seem to keep getting the edge on them when it comes to at least the team results. I think we finally got pipped last season for the actual driver who won. Unless I'm getting it wrong.
No,
we actually did have the club winner.
You are correct from what I remember.
I do remember, right. Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. But, well...
Yes,
I can be corrected if I'm wrong later on down the track. So, with that said, for the final time, for now, hopefully won't be the final time, period. We'll see how things plan out for next year. Thank you all very much for joining us, whether it's been live or whether it's on replay after this is all said and done here, folks. We hope you've enjoyed the racing action here, whether it be with TransAms or the Supercars here to conclude. And hope we've had ourselves a little bit of island magic to make it all go off with a bang, as well as a bit of cheer and celebration. My name has been Danny M. It's been Match Mickey pressing the buttons and making this all possible for me to watch and call for you guys. Have a safe and happy Christmas and holidays and the new year to follow after that. When the racing returns in 2026, we hope you'll be able to join us either on the track or here on the broadcast with the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. Until then, take care and have yourself a good time. Bye for now, but hopefully not forever. And of course, there's still that racing to come this week, so stay tuned with Zach, Dan, and Joe. All that.